Here, is it here?
Because
Which one is this?
between the set and Edgewater being most likely going to
Because I
reach a legal conclusion,
so
I thought I was not comfortable with reading them there.
explain this is the same as MC. MC means
Weeks ago now,
Yeah, I know.
and so,
oh yeah.
so I did make some
Hey, pretty good. How you doing? Across the road.
He's got the
He's got the
sewering thing going.
sewering thing going, yeah.
I also discovered that I can't see green on my screen.
You can't see green?
I mean, it's just hard, because I'm old. Come from, our mission.
We wrote it,
Years ago.
I think it should
wrote it about
explicitly
15 years ago.
include the watershed. It all
Understood.
depends on your point of
It
view.
is a long-term thing.
Yeah,
It's just
20
a permanent
years.
thing, so, yeah.
And
I
it's
chose the
prominent.
Wrong words.
Are we set?
I'm set.
Okay. It is Monday, July 20th, 2026. It is 5:37-ish. Apologies for the delay in getting.
That's my fault.
No, I was late too. I'm calling the Board of Meeting of the Board of Health to order. Would somebody read our mission statement?
Sure. mission of the Falmouth Board of Health is to protect and promote the health, safety, and well-being of the residents and visitors of the town of Falmouth. The primary functions of the board to achieve our mission are to prevent and control disease, enforce state and local regulations, promulgate local health regulations, identify and protect from environmental hazards, and advocate for a healthy community.
Thank you. Is there anybody recording besides FCTV and our health agent? No. All right. Brief statement on rules of behavior. Thank you to the members of the public for attending this meeting. Public comments will be allowed at the discretion of the chair as time allows, and will be limited, just, it says 2 minutes per speaker, but I think we are a little flexible in that. Before providing comments, please state your full name. All comments must be delivered in a manual manner that respects others. Does anyone on the board or the audience have a public comment on items not on the agenda tonight? All right. Our first agenda item is a discussion with the Water Superintendent. We provided some questions, and thank you for coming tonight.
No problem. Can you hear me?
Yep. And you, I'm just for
Sorry, yeah. Matthew Land, Water Superintendent, Falmouth Water.
Great, thank you. We provided some questions and you provided some answers, and I think we had, there was some sort of follow-up, and it just ended up, we thought it might be a little easier to chat with you. Aha! Chat with you.
Pictures are a good thing. Visual.
Excellent.
Wait till you see what I brought.
So you know, the first thing that, you know, we had questions, and it was specifically, we were just unsure as to the status, the current status of the lead service line question, because, and so for background for those people listening, the EPA decided a few years ago that they really wanted to make sure that all lead service lines were identified.
Correct.
And eventually replaced. And so I know that the town had engaged a subcontractor to deal with this, but we haven't heard any updates. So if you have any.
Yeah, certainly. So just to give you the general overview here, but we started with about 23,000 water service, domestic and fire, through the whole community. Out of those 23,000, give or take, service lines, 13,000 were unidentified.
Okay.
Out of the unidentified portion is what you have to comply with each year within the next 10 years to getting all of those numbers. As you can see right here, the problem is that we know the street side of the water service material, but we do not know the portion coming into the home through the foundation.
Right.
And as you all know, we go from 33,000 to 100,000. So from winter to summer. So trying to get these people's service line material when they're not there for, 9 out of the 12 months is difficult. So what we ended up doing is initially sending out mailers to all unknowns, to the property address on file and to their actual billing address in the billing system. And we got like 800 responses. That was it. So then we started pursuing this past year what's called statistical analysis. And in that, if they randomly picked out 330 or so homes in the entire community, and after approval from DEP, we can now only have to do 300 in-home inspections between now and the end of the year, and we completely are disqualified from having to do the 10-year lead service line inventory. So we had initially thought we had 5 lead service lines in all of Falmouth, but out of those 5 on record, they were all updated back in the late 80s or like 90s, but they were never updated with the record drawing.
Right.
So we have no known lead, so that qualified us to go into the statistical analysis that we're in. So since July 1st, we just are about to send out the mailers to the 300 homes or businesses that have unknowns to get those done hopefully before the end of summer, early fall. And then we have 19, it's called pothole excavations, which is a hydro excavation, where we need to know the street side and the homeowner side. So to do that, we're gonna hydro excavate down about 5 feet and, it's a hole this big.
Right.
We can identify the material on the street side, identify the material on the property side, and then we'll be completed. So that's where we stand with that. Once all of this is done by the fall, we'll report back to DEP, and as long as we have no known lead found in any of those 300, we're in good shape.
Is there any, obviously lead was only used, presumably it was only used during a period of time. Is there any way of guessing whether, like targeting whether they're a particular age of a house?
Well, the age of the house would directly correlate to the service line material used at that time that the house was built. If a house was built in the 1800s, yes, it probably had lead at one point, but it was obviously changed out because it had to have broken at some point, or the house was torn down, and a new service line was installed under our standard utility standards. So, but as of right now, like I said, we have no known lead, which is great. So, yes.
When was the standard change such that if somebody who was a plumber or whatever, couldn't have used lead?
I believe it was in 1986, which is when you couldn't use lead solder, but the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1972 put a hex to all lead service line materials being utilized as the domestic service line to a home.
So this isn't concerned with lead solder, it's only concerned with the
lead
service
pipes, yes, because
line.
that's the portion owned by, that's the service line from the water main into the home. But if you had solder in your house, I think that was up until early 90s when the plumber stopped using it completely. But we can't track anything after that point because it's interior source.
So the 330 or whatever
Yep.
it is, are all of those houses built before 1970, whatever you said?
I believe so. I think there was a bunch of different variables that they put into this equation to get the statistical analysis. So, but I'm almost positive that was the primary point.
And what was the date again? When?
I believe 1972 was the Safe Drinking Water Act was established. Could be 72, 76. I forget the exact year, but about 50 years ago.
Right. Okay. Go ahead, George.
So any houses after a certain date is the water department exempt from, or development that occurred after a certain date? Are you allowed to assume that the lead was not used in those pipes for, say, a 20-home development went in 1980?
So any home that did not have a material type in the record drawing automatically populates to being unidentified material.
Okay.
So if your house could have been built, so like out of these original 13,000, there could have been 5 new developments that came in, but they just weren't updated in our GIS system yet. So we had to physically go through all 23,000 services. Yes, this is a 1-inch service, but they didn't put PE next to it, which is polyethylene. So I had to flip over to the other side. Oh, it says PE right here. We can take that off. And then all of those homes in that development that were built by the same property owner were all plastic. So.
Gotcha.
Scott, do you know if I know there's lead testing of children. Do we know whether or not, is that ever reported to the Board of Health or to anybody?
Well, lead testing for children
That's paint.
That's
is really,
paint
it's
usually,
part of the
but-
childhood lead prevention program, which
Right.
is paint.
Well, we do test all the water in, like, for instance, the bubblers inside of the schools. They're
Right.
hand-selected in a batch, each sampling plan by DEP that we sample quarterly.
So physicians pediatricians would be testing for lead, probably doing a questionnaire after that.
Right.
Where we get involved is if we have a rental inspection, of a rental property, typically, and then the tenant has a child under the age of 6, and the house is built after 1978, then we could do a lead evaluation.
Okay.
And
A determination is the correct word. So yeah, that lead law is really for us.
It's mostly
Yes.
for paint, but
Yes.
yeah. It would presumably pick up drinking water too.
Yeah, if the pipe itself, I mean, I haven't seen one where it's been a solder issue, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Well, we had a fixture issue, remember, out in East Falmouth. There was at one point where they had replaced some of the bubblers, and the fixtures had some lead in them. I believe that they had to flush those, and they changed the fixtures out, because it was part of a renovation, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And we do sample residential homes too for lead and copper.
And we offer lead copper test kits.
Right.
It's relatively reasonable, and we have a courier service that takes it to Barnstable Lab.
Okay.
So
So one of the questions I had about this was, and I'm going to make up numbers because I can't remember, 5 years or so, I got a thing in the mail, this whole thing, and look at your water main, and did that and sent actually you pictures, and it was copper. And then 2 years later, I got it again. And I'm thinking, is this something different? Why am I've already done this. And so I think it's just confusing for people. Now, most people are smarter than I am, so they probably sorted it out. But when you get a notice of an issue, you think you've taken care of it, you've supposedly gotten into a database somewhere, and then several years later, it's coming up again as if you, do we have that covered so that we're not sending repeat notices to
so the
people who
problem
we
is
already
you
know what
have
they've
to-
done?
So 5 years ago, I wasn't here, so I don't know. What
And I made up 5. It could
it's
have
fine.
been 7 or 3.
So initially, when I came here in November of 23, the deadline to get the first submission to all homeowners that they may have that they have an unknown material was due by December 31st. So I basically spent the first month I was here trying to figure out how I was going to resolve this issue. After that, in the following calendar year, you are required to send that same mailer out to everybody, whether or not they had a known or unknown again, because that's how DEP wants it reported. You can't change that template at all when it gets submitted. Now, when that got sent out in December, I had about 800 voicemails in a day and about 5,000 emails that I could not even keep up with on top of my regular job. So this was like thrown at water superintendents all over the state to put on top of their plate. So what I did is we subbed a lot of that out to Tate and Howard, who's our primary engineer for our department, and they're tracking that internally on their end, and they update those records for us as they come in. So you'll notice on like the flyer itself, it says, please email to Tate and Howard. What do? They email me. They call me. Even though it's a QR code, the whole 9 yards. So it's challenging. But we're doing the best we can. I did this presentation in front of the senior center. I think I did in front of the select board. So
Okay, great.
we are trying to do the best we can to complete this task. So,
Thank you.
no problem.
Several of the other questions were really about essentially about like drinking water protection zones, Zone A, Zone B protection, and the status of the Long Pond Management Plan. And one of the reasons, to be able to chat with you is that in the Long Pond Management Plan, there is some sort of communication with the Board of Health, just so that we can, if things come up that we can pay attention to or should pay attention to help you in particular. And we, I think, missed an opportunity with the YMCA to avoid adding an upstream concern for you.
In Zone B, yep.
But there's also some other, there's some other developments that have gone in and some more that may go into that Zone B contribution for Long Pond. And so now in particular that we're aware of that, we will pay more attention to it and reach out to you. Hopefully we'll put it on our plate to reach out to you ahead of those hearings to get comments from you. But in your reply, one of the things we knew, for example, was that the potential for a high school plume from the high school, and it sounds, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds as if those wells were sampled for 2 years and then just disconnected? It's,
They're not overseen by me.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, oh, please.
Right, but we don't test them or anything.
So Peter McConerty, Director of Public Works. I believe at the high school there was, when I started in 2007, we had 3 different projects we were working on with underground tanks. And one of them was the high school, one of them was Public Works, and one of them was 20 Academy Lane. So what happens is that doesn't fall under the water department, that falls under an LSP with an environmental company.
Okay.
So, and I think that was all remediated it was remediated for Academy Lane, it was remediated for Public Works, and I believe it was also remediated for the high school, where at a point that the testing does stop up there at a certain point. I don't believe that they were for catch basins, there was an underground tank, and I think the tank had a leak.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can confirm. I did look it up on DEP's website today, and a permanent solution was filed for the high school in 2023. So they were monitoring actively through 2022,
Okay.
but they did achieve standards that allowed closure.
So typically for Public Works, typically the underground tanks go through Public Works. So that must have been, I knew that there was a tank at the high school. That must have been the school that was monitoring that, because Public Works was not monitoring the high school.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unclear. It was in the only reason that came up was that we were looking through the Long Pond Watershed Management Protection Plan, and
Yep.
it's in one of the appendices, and there were 2 very large tanks that were removed. But if
It's the town of Falmouth Public High School that the report was written for.
okay,
So that makes sense.
And it's been taken care of, it's closed.
It did achieve closure, and it looks like that closure was audited with no flags, so it
okay.
should.
So
stay
presumably, there's no plume.
Correct. I think there probably are still monitoring wells at the high school unless they went and decommissioned. A lot of times they'll leave them open until an audit's
Right.
complete. So there may still be a network of wells there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just,
Yeah, that might be something to reach out to the school, because I know when we had underground tanks at the Public Works facility, and they were in peat. So in 2020, when we took our underground tanks out and went above ground, everyone wants to go above ground now, no more underground tanks
Right.
because of this. We used Arcadis, and Arcadis capped the wells. They capped the old wells.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's downstream from the pond, so that's less of a concern.
Well, it's interconnected with Saul's Pond, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was it sounds like the old, from the groundwater flow analysis of the old landfill underneath the ball fields, that does not appear to be moving. It moves more southeast. Okay. So that's then that does contribute to whatever the name of the pond is across from DPW, and then I never remember the name of that one, and then Jones Pond, and then Morse Pond, but those aren't monitored for that.
Apologize, Matt, didn't want to be. Yeah, actually, we just went out to bid for that project. We just did the bid opening for that project.
Okay.
So construction on those fields should start pretty soon, but Arcadis, during this construction, they're going to be out there monitoring, and they're also going to continue to do the monitoring well testing for the groundwater in that area. But it is going in a southeasterly direction, more towards McDonald's, T-Ticket Park, going kind of in that angular direction. So
Yeah.
it would go from the ball fields going towards the end of Trotting Park Road over towards like the school administration building.
Okay, all right, because I know there's surface water that stretches up just south of the ball fields, that's to the east of the St. Joseph Cemetery, and that's a surface marsh that then feeds in to the 2 ponds
Okay. Yep.
recreational area. But I don't know if, plumes can go different directions in the surface water, so.
I know when Arcadis went out in 2024, the end of 2024 and 25, to find the limits of the old landfill, that's how they did it. They went out and did test pits, and they just kept on going back further and further and further to find the limits of it, and then they put, when they found the limits of it, they put monitoring, water
Okay.
monitoring wells in.
Okay. Well, as long as it's moving away from the water, yes, George?
I guess my question is more broadly, there's our public water supply, particularly Long Pond. Who looks at the big picture, who, like, if anything happens within that area of influence, how does any one of us who should bear some responsibility find out about it, communicate to all the others who might have vested interest or the town's interest? How does that all work?
You're asking me, and this is why we're having a conversation.
Right, it's a good question,
so-
one
You know, I
we need
thought
to
the
answer.
Long Pond Protection Plan would involve somewhat of a regular meeting of the minds and come together and say, oh, well, look, there's land that could be developed up here. What happens if we get a 20-house development that wants to go in here? Who should we contact? What should we, I mean, because the Board of Health might be well advised, for instance, to have a groundwater study done if there's something up there that could influence the storage containers or storage facility or whatever they're storing at the YMCA. You know, is there any coordination or any means by which the town coordinates that, which I thought was a Long Pond Protection Plan by its title sort of implies that, but practically it isn't happening.
So I can say this, as development starts from the very beginning, we have planning board meetings in here with the town manager, a bunch of different departments within the town. After that, there's planning board approvals, there's ZBA approvals, conservation. All of those get sent to department heads for review from a site plan perspective. So we use Permatize. So if someone wants to build a house on Brick Hill Road and it's in Zone B, I make a comment right then and there from the building department, no, this cannot be built upon, it's in the Zone B of the watershed. Then it goes to the ZBA. The ZBA will put that condition of my comment into that building permit and say, nope, they can't do this. So that's where it stops now. Before 10 years ago, I don't know what they used, if it was paper or they had some sort of online application. But anyone that wants water in the town, same thing. There's no water main on the street. You can only get a well. Unless you want to extend the water main to the center line of your property, these are your options. So we do, we are very careful with reviewing these. We get about anywhere from 60 to 100, can be a quarter, depends on how much it's developed.
Okay. Does that help, George?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So annually, the municipality has a requirement for all public facilities that we do Tier 3 reporting to the county. And what that includes is what is contained in your property and what quantities are contained in your property. And they have limits that they track it on a county level, but I don't believe it's tracked on a town level that way, but they track it as a county level if anything happened, if there was a spill, if there was a fire, if something happened. So it's a Tier 3 reporting requirement from the county that the town does for all public buildings, it wouldn't be like the YMCA, it would be the public buildings, municipal buildings.
Every single one of our remote sites has certain chemicals in it over a certain amount of volume, and you have to say whether or not that volume exceeds what it could cause. It's a probably couple hour review each year with Barnstable County.
It's the March 1st deadline for the.
I believe so. Yep.
Tier 2
Yep.
reporting. Okay.
Yeah, Tier 2 reporting. Yep.
Okay.
George?
I believe one of the reasons that we asked to meet with you was because when we looked at the Long Pond plan, at miscellaneous places, there are what seem like requirements for us to have regular communications, which I think were not further defined than that. And so we thought that we should have regular communications, and that we wanted to establish that at some period.
Yeah, I mean, the initial permit that came out in 2007 hasn't renewed yet.
Yeah.
DEP is, at this time, not ready to renew our permit. Sounds for me like the Cape is in a better place than a lot of the state with how much water they can actually supply out of the Cape Cod lens versus places like the northeast corner that's in a critical drought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In regards to the next phases of having a future permit, it would all be dependent on our conceptual design of the Shumet well. With the Shumet well and fresh pond seasonal being two additional sources, we'd have to have another treatment plant. So that being said, at that time, as we request new source approval to put the Shumet back online is when we'd probably have these more in-depth conversations with you all, so.
Okay.
And just for the record, the watershed management plan says in a number of places that address enforcement authority, that the Resource Protection District's bylaw enforcement regulation lies with the Falmouth Planning Board and the Building Department.
Okay. All right, that's helpful.
Later this evening, we're going to be talking about the Joint Base report about fluorocarbons and such like. Is that something that you get dragged into? Sorry, wrong word. I don't mean to imply that it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Are you on their list of people to inform about these things? And is that reviewed in terms of effects on our water supply?
So anything on JBCC is typically delegated with each community has a representative. Mike is Rigetto, our chief pump station operator, I believe is on that board, right? So if you had questions on their correspondences, he might be able to answer it or provide you feedback.
But
I
so,
do, actually, so, but go ahead.
so what I was getting at is, can we count on you folks already knowing about this stuff if we're hearing about it?
If it's disclosed to us, yes.
Well,
I
that's
just don't
what
know.
I'm
I don't know. Mike, do you want to?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. No, just let him. Sorry.
Mike Rigetto, Chief Operator. So I'm on the board for the Upper Cape Water Supply Cooperative, which is the 3 wells on the north side of the base that supply water to Mashpee, Sandwich, Bourne, Falmouth, the base. The plume itself really doesn't fall under that. JBCC has their own, civil environmental engineering group. They have a representative on that board, but they're also, they work with us closely on their plume because it affects us. We're going for new source approval with the Shumet that obviously is related to their plume. We're working on an MOU with them. It's a complicated process, been going on for years, but we're going to know more soon because we're just starting new source approval, which means we're going to be pumping the Shumet well, seeing what's there, and then figuring out how we're going to treat it. And a part of that process will be pulling all the data from JBCC, which we have a lot of, but not all of it, and then, figuring out where to go from there. So pretty soon, we'll probably put out like an RFI for them to give us data.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent update from the specifics of the plume from Fire Training Area 1 do indicate that a good portion of East Falmouth has PFAS and has at least the 6 targeted perfluorinated compounds in many cases well above the maximum contaminant limit. So
Yeah, they're, sorry to cut you.
go ahead.
They're planning, so they have a pump and treat system right across from the substation on Sandwich Road. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that location, but it's just kind of southeast of the Speedway.
Okay.
That was for VOCs
Yep.
initially. They're reactivating that for the PFAS plume.
No, I know that.
And the Shumet well is right next to it. And then the Fresh Pond well, which is just east of that, is online with a temporary treatment system for PFAS and perchlorate. And we monitor that monthly on those levels.
And actually with that, I mean, are you doing total organofluorines or are you just monitoring the 6
6.
The
So
PFAS 6.
we get more than the 6, we get probably 40
Right,
PFAS compounds, but we submit the PFAS 6 form to DEP every
Okay.
month.
Method 533.
Yes.
right. Amy, do you feel that's sufficient? I mean, given the,
One of the two methods typically used for drinking water.
right, given the composition we think of that plume, it's not any of the new ones.
Right, right. And I mean, it's tricky to analyze for compounds that you don't have standards for.
Right.
Because it's difficult to understand the data.
It's already really difficult to test for that, as you know. You get all these J values, and it's such a small number that
Right.
it's real. They're not quite there yet, but
Right,
and it's a little hard for us from a water department standpoint. We follow DEP guidelines, which is the PFAS 6.
right.
We don't do a lot of exploration.
No, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't anticipate that you wouldn't be required to. It's our duty to,
Right.
to help you look out for that.
Sure.
And I think in this context, the concerns that I would have about the perfluorinated compounds that have been developed in the last 20 years or 15 years are less significant because of this plume was
Right.
established with older materials.
Sure.
AFFF from,
Yeah, so it's AFFF, the aqueous, for those people listening, aqueous film-forming firefighting foam.
film-forming foams.
Film-forming foams,
That are used for firefighting.
right. I should let the experts speak.
And we do a lot of exploration. I shouldn't say that, because like with Long Pond, we do extensive water quality testing daily. We do weekly, really in-depth algae testing for a huge range of algae. We do a lot of just kind of nice, need-to-know operational type testing.
Okay, that was actually going to be, that was one of the questions I did have, actually, was, we'll get there in a second, but does the rest of the board have any, I mean, I know we're talking about, it sounds like you're talking about doing a lot more work and on looking at reactivating the Schumann well. And so we'll find out more, we'll hear more from you, presumably about like the depth of it relative to the plume and things like that.
Yeah, so we're not even sure it's going to be the Ashuman well. We're
Right.
doing multiple, even though the Ashuman well is physically there, it's actually pretty wild. It's mothballed exactly. It still has the lockout tag from 1980. It's like,
Time stuff.
it's like you could turn it on. But DEP treats it like it was never there. So,
Okay,
there's a benefit to going there because you have infrastructure, but, we're going to do test wells all around in September, and we may pick a different spot.
okay.
Oh, so the permit is lapsed for that?
Yes, we still, we report on our ASR, but we have to go through new source approval. We've met with Water Management Act.
It's
Okay.
really challenging.
All right.
But the plan is to combine it with Fresh Pond and run them both year-round, which also helps the plume. Our treatment at Fresh Pond helps the plume. We're pulling out 500 GPM and removing all the PFAS that we know of. Everything comes out
Right.
of ND, so.
There's a carbon system
There's an
there?
ion exchange,
Ion exchange.
because we have perchlorate there, which is pretty high.
Oh, the perchlorate,
The
yeah,
carbon
okay.
won't remove that.
Right.
And did we ever figure out what that source of perchlorate is from?
No. So we've done extensive testing out in that area, up in the Beagle Club, which runs up north,
Right,
west of it. We've looked everywhere, and there's no rhyme or reason to why it's there or what it's from.
Huh.
Typically explosive, there's a lot of
Yeah.
theories, you could say. Fireworks is a huge source. People think, the high school in Mashpee. People think the gun club. People think all different things, but there's no smoking gun,
Right.
for lack of better words,
well, it's
Flaming
more
gun.
precise, yeah.
The only other question I had from looking at the Long Pond Watershed Protection and Control Program might be better directed toward planning, but as I was looking through it, I noticed that it says the minimum lot size within the protection district is 80,000 square feet. It's been established to prevent degradation of the groundwater quality from on-site sewage disposal systems, so septic systems. But I was thinking about that with respect to the two new denser pocket neighborhoods that have gone in, either within Zone B or just north of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, so 80,000 is 2 acre minimum sized lot. That's not been, I don't know if that's been enforced.
Right. And definitely not in those instances.
That's a question for planning.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. I just, yeah, wasn't sure if there was any input on it.
And it's possible that the use of an IA system would alleviate some of those initial, those original concerns that established that 2 acre size lot.
But,
Properly, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, properly maintained
operated.
and, yeah. And,
Yeah.
yes, so the only other thing I have was, you mentioned algae. One of our concerns, increasing concerns is cyanobacterial blooms. And I'm certain that the drinking water treatment we have is adequate to take care of just about anything. But I'm just wondering whether or not you have observed cyanobacteria in Long Pond.
So there's.
It's probably not going to bloom because I don't think it's very.
There's like background levels, like really small particles, and I can send Scott, and you can disseminate, I'm sure, our lab results. We do it weekly, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
Look for the algae or the microcystins or what?
I don't know.
Just the algae, maybe?
Well,
There's a
if
certain.
there's algae, they tell us,
Cell count.
right, they give us a cell count, and they
Okay.
give us a species, and the list is really long.
Right.
Okay.
And we track it on an Excel sheet.
And we don't anticipate, there's not enough drawdown from any of the other wells to pull anything from the surface, so.
Yeah, technically, none of them are under the influence of groundwater. Long Pond, too, I would say if there was an algae breakout, we would definitely, well, we would, but we have the treatment in place to handle it. The
Yeah.
DAF is really effective at removing algae.
Right. No, I know, honestly, we have very good water quality now in Falmouth. The new treatment facility is really good, so. All right, does anybody have any other questions?
Thanks
Concerns?
for coming.
Thank you so much for coming in, and we, if there's anything that we can do, like I said, to make your life easier, let Scott know. We really, we want to be proactive so that we don't have to engineer out a problem, is what it comes down to. So,
And the next time there is a YMCA-like thing,
In Zone B, anything in
yeah,
Zone B?
feel free to send up flares, so we'll notice and
Well,
think.
The select board approved
About
that,
it.
not us, right?
Let me just add one thing about Zone B. There's really not much we can restrict from a water supply in Zone B. If you look at DEP regulations, the CMR, Zone B we have our own bylaw, which supersedes that and has a lot more protection, but the DEP standard is
it's pretty minimal, right?
It's really minimal. It's like, it brings up livestock and a couple other things. There's really no.
No, I'm very well of that, but we, in certain circumstances, we, if there's any variances required, things like that, then
Yeah.
we see those, and so we can at least apply an extra level of scrutiny to that, whether or not we have how much legal authority we have to restrict anything is unclear.
I guess
But
the good thing is that they did, at Springtown meeting, they did remove all of the potential to build on any lot around Long Pond and took the conservation restriction to no building.
Right.
So that certainly helped.
Right. Just actually, that reminded me, how close does that walking path approach is it in the Zone A?
Yes, I believe 400 feet is Zone A.
Yeah, so it's
In some spots it might be, but it depends on the topo and how they
Right.
made that trail, but.
been there a long time.
We also got a drone, so we drone that, and then we take pictures just to make sure if it's wintertime and we have a foot of snow on the ground, it's kind of hard to get out there. But
Right.
we have FAA certified pilots, so they go out and fly the drone out there to make sure no one's ice fishing or someone's out there, camping for a weekend, all that stuff. So
Right. Okay,
it is
Great.
it is monitored very well. So thank you.
right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Peter, as well. And I'm sorry, I forget your name. Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is 227 Edgewater Drive West, continued from several meetings.
That's a really long document.
Good evening. Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. So we've been continued several times. With me tonight, I have Brian Wall, who's an attorney here that does a bunch of work here in Falmouth. So just to kind of recap, the project is a proposed 5-bedroom septic for the existing 5-bedroom house, which is being renovated. And we do have a note that was supplied from Conservation, some Board of Health staff that confirming that it is a 5-bedroom house, and I believe you guys have all read that. So this house is located in a nitrogen-sensitive area, but does not meet the requirements of needing a best available nitrogen-reducing technology because the work does not meet the definitions of new construction or increase in flow. And so taken directly from the town website, building a new home, raise and rebuild projects, adding bedrooms to an existing home, or expanding commercial properties that increase wastewater flow are the 4 requirements that you have for needing the best available systems. So the board requested that the tank and pump chamber be shifted closer to the house, which we did, and that came from both this board and the Conservation Commission. The last meeting we had with you, you requested a continuance so you could get feedback from Conservation. Conservation has since heard the project with no further questions or comments. Conservation staff submitted a comment letter stating IA was not needed. And so, in brief, the Conservation Commission does not require IA tanks to be installed. And then further down in the letter, the leaching fields is as far away from the resource area as possible, which is a point that we discussed here at previous meetings. So we did do a nitrogen loading calculation, which was done by another member of my team, Raul, who I'm sure all of you have heard from before. And we do calculate a small nitrogen reduction at 16.499 for the existing, and for the proposed development, we're at 16.05, and this is because of the reduced lawn area, increased vegetation, and reduced hardscape on the site. So in brevity, we are asking for variances, but because we are improving the site, putting in a Title V system over the existing leach pit, we do believe that this is an improvement. We understand that this commission is asking for, certain members are asking for a nitrogen-reducing technology. After reviewing everything I could find on the town website and the Board of Health regulations, there's nothing that states that proposing the tank and the pump close to the coastal bank is a trigger for that. So as far as I can tell, that you're requesting this because of the tank and the pump, not because of the separation to the property lines or the foundation, but because of the tank and the pump and how close it is. And so it doesn't affect the nitrogen loading whether the tank and the pump are in the backyard or in the front yard, which we can't really fit or make work with the plumbing that we currently have. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Brian Wall.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, my name's Brian Wall. I'm an attorney. I have an office in Sandwich, and I was asked by the applicant to join the team specifically to address a comment that the board made, as I understand, at the last time. There was a suggestion that this might qualify as what's called new construction, and therefore there might be a Title V requirement to require a denitrifying system. And I wanted to tell you I submitted a letter. I won't reread the letter, it's rather brief. But new construction is a specific term defined in Title V. It has a capital N and a capital C. And if you look at the definition, this project does not trigger new construction. It's not considered new construction because it's a renovation and it's not having any increase in flow or increase in bedrooms. And I'd go further to suggest to you that even if this was a complete tear down and rebuild, the definition excludes from quote-unquote new construction the demolition and reconstruction of a building as long as the building predated 1996 and there's no increase in flow. So that was point number one. Point number two is I just want to echo what Chuck Rowland said, is that the applicant really believes that this is a really good project for a couple of reasons. As you well know, there's a cesspool currently serving the property, and as we understand it, the cesspool is actually located partially within a coastal bank and completely within the buffer. The proposed project will result in that cesspool obviously being abandoned and replaced with a new Title V system. Again, there's no increase in bedrooms, no increase in flow. There's an overall decrease in nitrogen loading. And as you know, this was also part of a conservation permit, and as part of that permit, there's some mitigation planting proposed. So from a perspective of what's there now and what could be there if the project is approved, there's many, many overall improvements to the site. And finally, it is my understanding that this property is in a phase of the sewer plan, and we can't tell you specifically when it's going to come, but it appears that this area will be sewered within 8 to 12 years. And so bearing in mind that the applicant would have to bear significant expense to put the denitrifying system in, we'd ask you to take that into account in making your decision. And obviously, we're here available for any questions you might have.
Nothing new there.
Do you want to clarify that that was not the provision? The new construction was not the reason?
George?
A couple of things. There's no way it's going to get sewered within 8 to 12 years because the outflow pipe won't be built by 8 years, and no more sewering can be done until the outflow pipe, if and when it is ever built. And the 1995 date for new construction, that's a state regulation, and Falmouth has a more restrictive regulation which eliminated that date as important. So it doesn't matter when the house was built in Falmouth. It might matter in other places. And the reason we've talked about this so much is not because of anything you've talked about, because of where the property is located and because of the state mandate that nitrogen clean up its embayments and reduce the nitrogen load to the embayments by a quite sizable fraction, much bigger fraction than the difference between 16.x and 16.y that I don't remember you quoted, the numbers you quoted, and it's a much bigger fraction than that. I'm not saying what should happen. The fact that the conservation is, putting in mitigation plantings is essentially irrelevant to what we're talking about. But thank you for coming.
If I may briefly respond to a couple of those comments. So with
Like-
regard to the 1996 date, we're not relying on that. I was just making the point that the Title V does recognize that. We're relying on the first part of the definition, that this project is not new construction. Secondly, with regard to the state mandate, it's my understanding that that requires the town to adopt a watershed protection permit, and as long as that's happening, then things can act somewhat as normal. In other words, the requirement to reduce nitrogen is a public problem caused by all these individual septic systems, but there's a recognition that if the town is sewering, that the burden of having to denitrify shouldn't fall harshly on one person. And we are proposing to dismantle a cesspool and put in a Title V system with the leaching field as far forward from the wetland as possible. So,
George?
Well, the intent of the recently passed regulation was definitely to require it only on I-8 and I for only ones that would produce increased flow. tax records for this property indicate a 3-bedroom, and the 3-bedroom was enjoyed by the applicant for years. There was no contest to that. There was nowhere 5-bedroom, and which might have started a whole new tax assessment. I don't even want to go there. But the extra 2 bedrooms that are in question, as our health agent's inspection showed, those were single occupancy bedrooms. The new one, in addition to an exercise room, the new ones are going to be 2 occupancy person bedrooms. So I would argue that, of course, theoretically and realistically, we approve this project with this. We are legitimizing that extra flow in perpetuity. So, I don't know, I think I would like to reintroduce my motion last time that we approved these variances, provided that an IE system meeting the banner with the same findings, with those 2 increased findings, be introduced. Now, read them if people are bored enough to want to listen to them, but they were part of the record last time, so I'm going to reintroduce that for a vote. Or a second for further discussion.
Second for discussion.
Madam Chair, may I just briefly address one part of that statement?
Yes, I'm Chair. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair. With regard to the comment about single occupancy bedrooms, it's my understanding, and I'm not a technician, I'm just a lawyer, but Title V is written such that there's a definition of a bedroom, and if the size and the height of the ceiling and the door can close, it meets that definition. And then there's a presumption that there are 2 people per bedroom. And so I would suggest to you that it's a 5-bedroom house, and Title V presumes that there's 2 people, 110 gallons per day per bedroom. So,
What I was referring to, sir, would be the state sanitary code, which also defines a bedroom for purpose of habitation in the Commonwealth,
right.
which any bedroom under 100 square feet, at least 70 square feet, is a single occupancy bedroom, of which there were 2 noted on the inspection report. Now, we got plans for the new house, or the new renovation, in addition to an exercise room that I put in quotes. There are 5 bedrooms, and they're all double occupancy bedrooms. By definition, 100 square foot would aptly put them into a 2-bedroom design. So, for instance, if somebody is to rent the house, which would be the nexus at which somebody would inspect and see whether it complies with the state sanitary code, chapter 2, they would say, oh, that's 75 square feet, that bedroom, that's a 1 occupancy bedroom, and that's what that house would be allowed to be rented to. In the Commonwealth, we don't break into people's houses to figure out whether they are really using them as single occupancy or double, but that is the code for habitation, the houses in the Commonwealth. So 2 of those bedrooms were 70 square feet plus. Those would be single occupancy. They are now going to be double occupancy.
So going forward, starting tomorrow, if I see a 400 square foot bedroom, I may have to apply a 220 gallon flow to a 250 gallon set.
I didn't say that.
Okay, that's why I'm a little confused, because we've never, ever applied the housing code to Title V.
Yeah,
And
so-
what I said was, the intent of our regulation
Okay.
was not to impose on anybody who was not increasing flow or new construction. I just heard increased flow mentioned a lot here in this discussion. If you're going to just interpret it strictly by bedrooms, yes, it is not new construction. Is it increased flow? Absolutely, it's increased flow allowed in perpetuity for that house.
Again, I would respectfully disagree, because I think flow is measured based upon the presumption. So you have a bedroom, there's a presumption of 110 gallons per day. So we have 5 bedrooms. The system has a capacity of 550 gallons.
We don't know what the capacity of that cesspool was designed for. We just don't know. We know that in the tax records, we see 3-bedroom house, never contested all up to this point. All of a sudden, we go in as 5 bedrooms. They're paying taxes on a 3-bedroom house, and now we have a 5-bedroom house. We don't see anything in the building permits about it, but I understand those were done back when somebody just went down to the equivalent of Home Depot and threw up some bedrooms.
And I don't want to be argumentative about it, but I don't think that the board has ever said, let's go out and look at the capacity of the cesspool. You always look at the bedrooms, and then there's a presumption of 110 gallons. And so Mr. Rowland has designed the new system for the 550 gallons.
I won't argue with you, sir, but normally, if this was a Title V system back from 77 on, you would absolutely go back and look at the capacity of that system. We don't know what the capacity of the cesspool was.
Right, okay.
So,
Take a vote.
Amy, did you want to say something?
Well, one other possibility that, well, I guess I can't, because we have George's.
We have a motion and a second.
George, and it's just discussion time here.
We're
There's no
discussing
vote.
things. There's no vote. And I want to raise a point here that if we tie 2-2, then the motion fails. Again. Because we are operating as we're down a member.
Yep.
We're trying to recruit. So if anybody wants to join the Board of Health,
And this is a great time for advertising. What could be
Right,
more appealing than this?
This, right. No, I mean, I agree that, I'll call it bedroom creep is a challenge that we deal with all the time, and this new design has.
Amy has a suggestion.
Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Has an exercise room, a recreation room, and an office in addition to 5 full-size bedrooms, so that is a significant change. I wondered about the addition and whether, if the addition wasn't added, the tank and the pump chamber could actually get outside the resource area, I believe, right? But we would still need, other variances would still be needed.
It would still be in the flood zone. You'd need other variances, I believe.
You note on this plan that there is space for an IA system. Is there,
Which is a requirement by this board.
yes, is there height for a IA system? That is, if
I've
you,
provided the 6 inches of clearance.
Elevation.
elevation, sorry, I apologize, I was unclear on that. Elevation in the, in this design, that,
So coming out of the tank, I have elevation 7.25. This TV's a little blurry, but going into the, going into the pump chamber, it's at 658. You require 6 inches, and I've exceeded that.
six, so you need,
So your requirements require 6 inches of elevation drop between,
okay,
I don't know what the wording is, but essentially for this instance, it's not between a septic tank and a D-box, it's between septic tank and a pump chamber.
right.
And so you require 6 inches, and coming out of the tank is at 7.25, and going into the pump is at 6.58. So that's 3 inches plus 4 inches is 4, 5, 6,
Right.
7 inches.
Makes sense.
Right, so you make it.
I-
So in, Amy, do you want to introduce your compromise here? Or possible
Right,
compromise?
an alternative concept might be, for the board to consider allowing this to proceed as designed with a revisit in 2030 to assess whether sewer has been voted and funded and is likely to be installed by 2035. And if not, work in there that at our discretion, we can require upgrade of the system to an IA at that time. And if sewer is imminent, just confirm that the property owner agrees to connect to that sewer immediately upon it being available.
Well, which is a requirement of the sewer anyway, but.
What were those dates again that you said?
2030, so 4
revisit in
years.
2030 to confirm that sewer is imminent. It has been voted and funded.
Yeah, it won't be by then.
It won't be by then,
You would have the outfall.
but we would
think by then-
know whether or not there would be an outfall.
The outfall pipe will take a
So we can word
lot
it.
less time than that.
Right.
Okay, I think construction could be done within 6 or so. I was gonna go to Amy's thing last week, I couldn't make it. They just
I
did
went, but it depends
a lot on,
on approvals, basically, so.
yeah, it does. So you could revisit whether the outfall pipe makes it. I know that Seacoast is the next place they want a sewer after what they finish now.
Right.
So if they get the outfall pipe, it wouldn't make any sense not to add sewer, because you can do what you have now and what you're building on the existing infrastructure, you would need no outfall pipe. You only need the outfall pipe for the next gallon after this.
Yeah.
Right, and so we can massage the dates however we want and the triggers however we want. I'm just,
So could you repeat it again then?
the concept would be that we would approve the installation as designed with the reserve area. We would revisit in a certain number of years, maybe that's 2 or 3 years instead of 4, to determine whether the outfall has been permitted and sewering is likely to proceed here. And if it is not,
Go back and
allow us to
require an IA.
Require the IA at that time.
If we're allowed to do that. I assume we are, but.
Well, if it's in the original agreement, one would think. I'd actually be fine with that based on what I told you a minute ago.
Conversely, you could say, give a date at which an IA would have to be installed with sewers. No, I think the way you wrote it's probably the best.
I mean, we have a motion and a second, so we actually have to,
Right. That's what I was
vote or not on that one, but you could, I don't know about amend it, you'd have to vote, say no to that one again,
You'd come up with another motion.
another
have
second
to
motion.
Develop another motion.
Yeah.
Right, which would probably be a hybrid between some of George's language.
No more for this one until we figure something out.
Yeah, maybe.
I would again just ask the board to look at the extent of what is being done to the property
I agree.
and the years in which it will endure with the load that is possible and granted to it in perpetuity. That's it. Call the question.
George?
Well, George, I see your point about the likelihood of physically increased occupancy, given that they were small bedrooms that were not, as far as we know, were not built under any permit. However, I don't necessarily agree that with the regulations that we have in place and the guidance that we have provided to our health agent and through the discussion here, that we have the current regulatory status to stand on that. I just don't, I mean, I see your point. I just don't necessarily.
Here's the counterpoint.
Yes.
What do we at here? What's this called? It's called a variance hearing. A variance is granted when what? Is there manifest injustice here? I don't think so. That's one of the things for granting a variance. Is there manifest injustice? No, there isn't. There's use of the property, to be continued use of the property. It's a very valuable property. All we're requiring is that for what is being done to the environment, what could be done under this particular project is somehow outweighed, not by a couple of milligrams per liter as we heard tonight, or, again, what we're granting here in perpetuity is an infringement upon the public health and the environment. We choose as a board, that's why there is a Board of Health, and it's not just a cookbook. We're here to make that judgment. We opine, we argue, we deliberate, we make a decision. We're not always straight within the bounds of our regulation, particularly in the context of a variance hearing.
I agree.
I mean, if they weren't here before us, if there were no variances, we wouldn't be seeing this. Let it go, let it fly. We have nothing to say about it. But the town of Falmouth has put 5 people up here for now to decide whether the town will spend tens of millions of dollars fixing this problem. It's going to take a long time to fix it, and the more we wait in each individual case like this, the worse it gets. It's the only case I'm making. I don't take this personal. I just couldn't, in my conscience, say to the town of Falmouth, yeah, this isn't going to increase the flow. That's not going to be any harm to the environment. No, they put me in a position of saying, hey, somebody comes to you in a variance, decide what you want to do to get back that part of the public health, which is risk. So that's it. That's why I say call the question. I don't take it personal.
No, but I mean, it's a very important discussion that we're having, and I think we do need to look closely at our regulations and figure out how we can address this.
What we might have done here as some short injustice is not clarified or given to our health agent. Look, this is the area, we're going to be real sensitive about variances in this area, but I could tell you, we've been very sensitive about variances in these areas before, and most of the time, and we argued this last time, most of the time the people who have come to us with the projects realized how serious we are and said, you know, you're right, we need to do it better, and they did.
Right.
This time we have an applicant well within their rights, God bless America, we can do this, well within their rights to question us. We're well within our rights to do this, I believe. And if we're not, that's what appeals are for. They're not to this board again.
I think when someone calls the question, we're supposed to vote and stop talking.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Well, that's in town meeting.
No, I think it's in Robert's rules.
I did it in just, let's move the discussion along.
I mean, unless there's something new.
Well, I mean, we could, there's two, I mean, we can vote this, we can vote the requirement for an IA. Or we can approve, and one option would be then to come back and say, require review in 3 years, or 4 years.
Or 2 years.
Or 2 years. Yeah. And if there is no indication that within 10 years there's going to be a sewer, we can try to get 10 years worth of denitrification.
Instead of 12 or 14.
Instead of 12, 14.
Do we know if we can do, I mean,
I don't know,
I'm the newbie
actually.
here. I've never heard of
We haven't come up to this. This is not.
So I don't know
Right.
if it.
And then we can revise our regulations.
Right. I did talk about it with the health agent. I don't know if you know if it's specifically within our bounds to.
We don't have a clear legal opinion on it, but we're amenable to that compromise. But
Yep.
we think that it would probably not become an issue unless we decided to appeal. So I don't think that we're going to agree to a compromise and then appeal it. So
Sorry, I didn't catch the.
I didn't understand. Can
Yeah,
you speak a little louder?
So my point is that we are amenable to the compromise, and that we don't exactly have a legal opinion, but it probably wouldn't become an issue unless we decided to appeal it, and I doubt that we would agree to a compromise and then appeal the compromise, so.
Right. So, would a compromise,
Need to dispose of the
we need to
motion.
dispose of the
Get rid of
previous
the
one?
first
Right. So, all in favor of requiring, essentially, I'm restating this, as a condition of the receiving the variances to require an IA system. Is that a reasonable
That was the
statement?
motion.
Yeah.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll have to do this. No. for
No,
mine.
nay.
No.
Abstain,
Abstain.
because I can't in good conscience vote for this to happen, but I also, I feel like we're in a pickle and we need to
Right.
revise the bloody
So then,
Right.
regulation
Motion didn't
tomorrow.
pass for
So the motion did not pass with 1 4, 2 against and 1 abstain. Does somebody have an alternative motion?
Well, I think we're going to need to develop it. I can bring in some of the findings from George's, finding that a septic system cannot be installed at the property without these variances, and that engineers have designed the system to maximize distance from the resource. I have a bunch of stuff scratched out, but I don't have it formally written yet, because I wasn't sure if we'd be able to
Could
go
use
this
this to
direction.
scratch out, you know what? That's
Oh,
all.
yeah, I have your original here.
Yeah, I
too.
don't actually have that. I left my packet, so.
But let's talk as a board, so we would want to revisit in 2 years?
Yes, that
2
would
years?
be my view.
And that would be, oh, here, I do have it. And that would include I would request that would include a walkthrough to make sure that the spaces were not being used as bedrooms. Because if they were being used as bedrooms, that would be an increase in flow.
You mean the office and the exercise room,
Yes.
and et cetera?
And George, I know you're smiling to yourself, but
Yeah, I think that's, and this is not an accusation, it's an observation of humanity. I think, unless we're going to surprise someone with an inspection, it's pretty easy to move a bed, so why bother? I don't think it's a realistic
okay.
thing to do. And again, I'm not saying, but it's so.
yeah, no, I wouldn't be. The 5-bedroom, I mean, it gets kind of, the house doesn't have a lot of living space. If they kept making everything into bedrooms, it would be
Right.
a little
But
trickier.
it doesn't
Like at some
now
point, you need
either, and
living
it's
space
had
with your
5
bedrooms, right?
Well,
So,
again, when the board decides to do this, we often think that people don't own a house forever and ever. That's why I use the words.
Yes, in perpetuity.
And
And we're
that's-
giving it to the deed, not to a particular person.
Right, and that's why we're hoping to address the in perpetuity part with this revisit.
So would this be even remotely enforceable if it's got a new owner? Does this work? I mean, I just feel like this is sort of a good
It's
idea.
a condition of
but
the approval.
Do we need to consult counsel, I guess, to develop this?
well, you could also, you have to put an IA system with X number of years, you can come back for a variance after that if sewer's eminent. But then you can have a whole new board. Yeah, it's a tricky, yeah.
I don't know.
I
Could
don't know
set
if
a
it's some-
variance with a sunset clause.
Yeah.
Right,
The condition is the sunset clause.
that's another way to approach it.
Oh,
That,
Oh,
I like
that's a good
that.
point.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, but what would you do if they don't want to put the IA and make them, you not take the variances, the tanks are already, and the pump chamber's already in the ground, functioning?
well,
Then-
failure
then-
to comply with an order of the Board of Health.
Yes.
And it's an occupancy permit.
Yeah, maybe what you would have something,
You had set
I
a
could-
period, you had set a period of time that the IA system, to your liking, not mine, you would say it must be installed within X number of years. That is a condition of the variance, in which then if it's not done there, the condition then violates really your condition, which is a violation of Title V.
I have a
Order of the Board of
motion.
Health is issued under the authority of Title V.
I have a motion, I think.
Do you want to, okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll give,
No, please, say what's on your mind.
I would move that this variance be approved with a sunset clause in 2 years. And if at the end of those 2 years, the sewer project is not voted on and funded by town meeting, that they have to do an IA.
So they won't have
No.
the Seacoast Shores done in 2 years.
Right.
No, no,
It'd be-
they won't even have
not
the funding.
project, not
The funding for the
funding.
outfall.
For
The
the,
funding for the outfall is 2 years.
right, that's what we've
Then
got.
that means we're,
But you're not funding the outfall
Already.
pipe unless you're going to sewer Seacoast Shores.
well,
Right.
and of course, unless if the ballot initiative that is being proposed for the state for this year, there'll be no more sewers in Falmouth, because no one will fund them, because they won't have to.
Well, right, and so,
And
I mean,
they
there's,
will be able
so,
to subdivide their lots into 5,000
Right.
square foot lots if there's a sewer there, and so they won't fund sewers.
Well, yeah, there should be a time at which
right, so,
you have to put in the IA.
But if the outflow pipe is funded in 2 years,
I think that's what,
which is
20,
optimistic.
2028
and
is
then
her,
it'll
is
take
the aim.
several years to get built.
They actually think that it won't take as long as you think. It'll go out to bid almost immediately.
Yeah.
The design, the funding for the design is up this year, and the funding for the construction would be the following year.
I
mean,
made a
we can-
motion, and if it doesn't get a second, so be it.
Oh, okay, so,
So,
but
It's
your motion
sunset.
is, like, within
You-
2 years of installation of the septic system as designed, the system will be upgraded to an IA system consistent with the Banner list or equivalent unless the
The
outfall
sewer
pipe-
project.
Well, let's start with the outfall pipe has been permitted and funded, right? And installation of a
I mean-
sewer for this property is that where we're headed here?
Yeah.
Seacoast funded?
I mean, Seacoast won't be funded within 2 years. It won't
They
be.
normally, what they do is fund and build, not fund and then hold for X
Right.
number of years before they
No,
would.
I
Right.
understand,
So-
I understand.
Yeah, no.
So
within
you'd
2
be
years,
better
we-
off, as I would advise the client to put the IA in now then, because it doesn't make sense to do it that way. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think you're gonna, like, we just went to town meeting last year to fund, and then it's
Yeah, I
already
know.
being constructed. So that time frame is
Right.
gonna be out a little bit, because you're gonna have to build the outfall pipe, pay for that, get that debt exclusion, all that fun stuff. And then Seacoast would be the very next place they'd like to go. At least that's the conventional
That's the
wisdom.
current plan, but
Yep.
one never knows.
No, yeah, well,
One never knows.
one truly never knows. It's true, however, it's very clear when you look at the density map.
Yeah.
Well, we would set it, yeah.
I think setting it out a little bit farther than that.
Right, we would need to say something like, this is maybe too squishy, but installation of the sewer in this area is anticipated by 2035. I don't know how we
That could be a
want to
finding.
nail down anticipated.
You could just say that, in our opinion, or, I don't know if that's a finding, but you can put that as a finding.
But we're making the clauses for the sunset,
Yeah.
right? So the first clause is that the outfall pipe has been permitted and funded, and the second clause is that installation of the sewer in this area is anticipated within a reasonable time frame.
Right.
What's a reasonable?
Yeah, I would put
By
it
2035.
without a
We'll
number.
put a
Yeah,
number
no,
on it.
I put
Oh, okay.
2035 down, but maybe, whatever we want to put that. So those
Well,
would be,
you're also putting yourself into a hot spot. Let's say it's 2026 it's going in, and 2025 they have to come back. You wouldn't want the IA.
We'd have to
So
come-
You're gonna get some,
That's a
yeah.
We need to, I
Well,
mean,
we have to make a decision,
Yeah.
and it's a rough and tumble world, and we don't get to not make decisions because we might get we are in a tough spot
We're in a
already.
tough spot.
It doesn't get worse, I don't see it getting a lot worse than where we are right now.
Right.
Where nobody's happy about how this
is going.
whole thing
Yeah.
is working in the town. Because it is not, to disagree, sir, with what you said, it is the town is not going to spend a few $100 million. The town is, and its population are going to spend $1 billion. Not a couple of $100 million. We're spending a couple of $100 million right now on, by the way, conflict of interest, if it is one for you. I'm getting sewered in a couple of years. Whoopee-doo. It's more like $1 billion over the next 20 years, or 25 years, or 30, however you want to do your time. And it is, no, yes, the watershed plans are what have to be submitted, but the success of the watershed plans is what has to happen. Submitting the plans does nothing. It is the watershed plans succeeding in cleaning up the embayments is what the state is looking for. So, as I've said before, we're paying for our ancestors, for our ancestors being urinating and creating stool in this location for the last 50 years at a ridiculously high population density for this tiny little sandbar. And we're stuck with that.
so, Amy, are you crafting something here?
Well, what I was trying to do was use George's findings.
The other George, the smart George.
Right. Not the smart George, but other George.
Right.
So, thank you for your patience. We're
As we
trying to
struggle
come
through
up with
this.
something as a possible.
Yeah, so, I mean, if we
So-
go with George's findings for the most part, just making an adjustment to installation of a nitrogen-reducing system at this time is a reasonable and proportional condition. We could say installation of a nitrogen-reducing system is a reasonable and proportional condition associated with the requested variance release unless sewer is likely to be installed at this location by 2035. So I could make that kind of adjustment to the findings that reference it, and then ultimately come to that within 2 years of installation of the septic system as designed, the system will be upgraded to an IA system consistent with the Banner list or equivalent unless the outfall pipe, sewer outfall pipe, has been permitted and funded, and installation of municipal sewer in this area is anticipated by 2035. If these are the dates that we as a board wanna work from.
Would it be anticipated if the wastewater department has explicitly made it that they're going to put the town meeting a vote to fund it? Not that it's happened, but that it's explicitly being put on the schedule to happen.
Submitted, it would be submitted to the warrant.
Okay.
So submitted to the warrant is usually about 2.5 months before the warrant, before town meeting. So,
Something like that. I want it to be something more substantive than
Electronically. really.
We kind of think it's going to
Integrate
happen.
these things, or,
And I don't know how to write these things because that's not
we
what
don't
Oh,
have the
I
minutes
spent my
yet.
life doing.
Just to the applicants, you hear us trying to come up with something that would have a sunset clause. Is this something that you are likely to argue with?
It depends on the numbers. I'll be very candid. We've been whispering back and forth, and the client has kind of two concerns. One is, if the sewer is reasonably coming in, and I'm not trying to be funny about that, if it's coming, she doesn't want to have to spend the money on the IA system if the sewer is definitely coming, obviously. And the other is the amount of time, so that if she does have to do the IA, she would like to have an amount of time. So the last motion I heard was within 2 years. We were hoping that might be 3 or 4. And let me explain the basis for that.
Wait, 2 years or 3 or 4, what do you mean?
The revisiting.
Oh, I
There were
see
a
what
lot
you're
of
saying.
different motions. I was trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
write them down.
we haven't figured that out.
Okay. Well, the concern is this. This property has been in my client's family since the 1950s, and it's kind of changing generation now.
Yeah.
And so my client, who's standing here, Amanda Hunt, wants to renovate the property because she's now at a station in life where she can afford to do some of that. But the cost of the IA would be critical. I know Mr. Hufelder said it's a valuable property, but she's inheriting it essentially. So she's not necessarily, this is not a mansion on Penzance Point or something like that. So she would want some time to be able to save the money, to be able to put the system in if that happens, if that's what the outcome is.
Right.
So there's kind of two aspects of it. We're hoping for some more time for the revisiting, and then if the sewer does reasonably appear, however the board might decide to trigger that. I did like the warrant, the funding, because Mr. McGann said that once it's funded, it usually is built relatively quickly. So
Right.
that's kind of really a very ascertainable way to look if it's on the warrant.
Yeah. I mean, for new flow, I believe we said funded. We said it would have to be, we did say it, that would actually have to be funded. But then there's also there was a time frame in there that where you wouldn't have to install something. So we could say, submit it to the warrant. Oh, you're actually writing this out?
I am.
Yes.
It's long.
Okay.
And we probably, you guys keep hashing on the numbers?
Okay.
And
Well, so how are you thinking about phrasing this? So I know, George, do you want to put any input into this, or you're just?
I'm gonna let you guys do this. You know how I feel about it.
Right.
I mean, I suggested the sunset clause only because that seemed to be a good compromise, but I think you know where my vote's going.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to phrase the sunset clause.
Give an install date as a condition in the
Right.
approval of the variance.
Required an IA installed within, say, 4 years, picking a number.
Provided that, and then you had said about the
Right.
instance that you would forego that installation. Provided that if town meeting votes blah, 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 then, you give them the chance to come back to present that information.
Right.
And then you stay the order to put the system in.
And that our regulation is 15,
Right.
it's 15 years after the completion of the installation of the sewer project, or 20 after the IA is put in, whichever is shorter, and there's no way the sewer is going to be completed within 15 years of now.
So we could say, I'm the chair, I'm not supposed to motion these things.
But you still can say what you think
Right.
the motion might be.
Well, we could say something, approve the requested variances with these various findings,
Lots of findings.
provided that if town meeting votes design of a wastewater collection system for the area, including the address, so I'm sorry, just having problems phrasing this, but let's say give them 8 years, because that's, I think, a reasonable time frame to anticipate a vote. Or 7 years.
7 years till what? We
Till
look at this again?
the town votes on a wastewater system, collection system.
Or at the time of
Or
sale.
5. Or at the time of sale.
So you're saying we would start with within 5 years
Could say
of
Yeah, it's just
installation
too
or at a
long
point of
because-
sale?
yeah.
5 is, yeah,
5 years?
5 is a while. Yeah, that's, I thought 2 or 3
2 or
gets
3
us
is
to
too
the
close.
sewer. but
2 or
it-
3 gets us to the.
To the sewer outfall, right?
Outfall.
Where it all looks real.
Right.
Where it is feasible. It's just, if the sewer outfall is there in 3, what other thing can we use as a pinpoint for
Well,
sewer in that location?
Would be the
If the
design.
sewer outfall is, if the outfall is built in 3?
No, funded, permitted
Approval
and
at town
funded.
meeting for funding for
Permanent
design.
funded within, I think the reasonable institution is 2.5 on that one.
Within 2.5 years.
It's right now, that's like, that's
Yeah.
literally what we're looking at in terms of the timeframe of that.
Yeah, so.
Can I ask a point of information question? Not related necessarily to this project? That we should, so one thing is that when we made the regulation last year, the reason we did not include renovations was because we thought it was too project-specific to come up with any kind of numerical figure of the value of the property, et cetera, and the proportional increase,
Right.
all these things we talked about, because we're going to have to do it on a case-by-case basis. And now when we come to a case-by-case basis, we say we can't do it because we didn't write a rule. And I
No,
think
we
we...
would have, we could have put a rule in
We
place.
could have put a
at that
rule.
time.
Exactly. Sorry, we're not, we
So this is-
didn't write a rule
Correct.
because we said it would be too hard to write anything that wasn't on a case-by-case basis.
Well-
And now we're confronted with a case, and, well, this is my view of it.
Okay.
And now we're confronted with a case, and we say, well, we can't do it in this case because we didn't write a rule that included this.
Or that opened the door for.
Well, no, I think we opened the door when we talked about it for so long. I think we need better direction for our health agent tomorrow. And I think, quite frankly, for one house, I'm not that concerned about how this one house turns out. I'm concerned about us coming to a new way of dealing with this, not now, tonight, now in the next few months. Because we can't be doing this every few weeks. And we're going to be if we don't do something about it. And so I'd vote anything for this house.
Right.
They can, they could put up a 5-story building as far as I'm concerned. We need a new plan.
Right. So I can send out some previous iterations that didn't put a value on things,
Right,
which we talked about, and we did
Yes.
discard.
right, because we didn't know how to do it.
Right. Well,
And so we were going to have to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
So here's a case. But now we're saying, well, it is, we can't just do it to this case, because that would be.
we need a system.
Yeah.
And, well,
So-
we considered a system, we discarded the system. So we
need a-
are back to the older system, and so this is where we are, but we are trying to come up with a compromise that will at least,
So let's get on with it.
right, well, Amy, do you have anything in particular phrased?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this.
All right. So do you want me to read George's clauses that I have included? or
Start the
just-
motion, and then you can say with,
Do you have to remove his before you make another one?
we voted it down already.
They voted it down.
Oh, okay.
We voted down his, and his didn't get a second.
Okay, didn't get a second.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've withdrawn.
Okay, so the motion would be to approve the septic system with requested variances as designed, finding that, and then George's caveats, or findings, down through, given the scale of the proposed renovation and septic system work.
Okay, so that goes away.
Well, that stays,
Oh.
the part of it that is,
Oh, right.
that we take out is at this time. Given the scale of the proposed renovation and septic work, the board finds that installation of a nitrogen-reducing system is a reasonable and proportional condition associated with the variance relief. Acknowledging, and then here's two new things, acknowledging that current Title V and Falmouth regulations do not require installation of an IA system in an NSA unless an increase in flow is requested, but that the regulations do task the board with achieving an equivalent standard of care when variances are requested. And finding that a septic system cannot be installed at this property without variances, and that the engineers have designed the system to maximize the distance of the SAS from the resource. We are, I guess, going back to the top, we would approve the septic system with the variances, provided that within 5 years of installation of the septic system as designed, or at the point of sale of the property, the system will be upgraded to an IA system consistent with the Banner list or equivalent unless the sewer outfall pipe has been permitted and funded, and installation of municipal sewer in this area is anticipated by 2035. Sorry, we can mess with that wording, and, sorry, I think we said 3 years, not 5 years. I just hadn't made that change yet, within 3 years. So those are the two key pieces, the sewer outfall pipe permitted and funded, and installation of municipal sewer in this area is anticipated.
Can I just ask, was that
I would
municipal outfall
3 years of today.
3 years from the install?
Today?
Yeah, not 3 years of when the project is done, 3 years of today.
Okay, this date.
It just says 3 years. You don't have to say this date, just say
Okay.
3
Well,
years.
3 years.
And there was 3 years of the letter that he generates,
Yeah.
which will be tomorrow. So
Okay,
just 3 years. You don't have to say this date,
Within a week.
within a week. Yeah. And it's just say within 3 years is the usual way we say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me see if I could just, there's not a second yet on this.
I'll second it.
Okay, so motion to approve the requested variances, provided that a nitrogen-reducing wastewater technology selected from the Banner system be installed, provided that within 3 years or at the point of sale,
Not provided that.
I'm
within
sorry.
3 years. We don't need the provided that.
provided that a nitrogen-reducing wastewater treatment technology selected, so forth, be installed within 3 years or at the point of sale unless the sewer outfall has been funded,
Permitted and funded.
yeah, But then there's also the installation, what was the, and installation?
And installation of municipal
Oh,
sewer
right.
in this area, area that includes this property, however we want to work.
Yeah,
This area is anticipated by 2035. So Jed, you started with motion to approve the requested variances, provided that,
I'm not, just use the words that he's already got.
oh, got it, yeah, let me pull that.
Motion to approve the risk variances. Provided that a nitrogen-reducing wastewater treatment technology selected from the DEP banner list, et cetera, be installed within 3 years or at the point of sale, unless sewer outfall has been permitted and funded, and the installation of a wastewater collection system for this address has been, is, how do we phrase that? Is
Proposed,
in,
Funding approved at town meeting?
no, because it's not going to be, funding isn't going to be approved within 3 years for that. Or system has been,
What is
what are-
Oh,
possible
what do we
within
got?
3 years?
Design?
Design,
You got
right.
funding for design, you got funding
Design.
for installation. So you could go with funding for design.
and
Gotta give some.
funding for design, but that's not 3 years, because we've said 3 years or a point of sale. Do you want to say 5 years at point of sale?
Or at point of sale.
Because
what?
Because realistically, with the, we are dealing with uncertainties.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our trickiest one, is how to lock that down.
And I have to say, I don't care what number you pick, because this is one house. What I care about is what are we going to do when 2 weeks from today, another house just like this comes up? That's the question. With all due respect, this house, one house doesn't.
And we will revisit the regulation. We'll have to put it on our next agenda.
Yeah.
And go through that with the 2 hearings to address it.
Okay.
That's all we can do. So
Then
I
I'll
understand.
vote for whatever.
We're trying to come up with something that we are splitting hairs, or we could just say, approve it and then move on.
Installation.
Did I already second this? Even though it isn't
No,
written yet? I'm willing to. I
yes.
just, good.
George wants
Can
to.
I call the question? I mean, let's just vote on something. Let's get,
But we need to figure out what the hell we're voting on.
okay,
Those
so,
last
so
words.
the problem is-
so procedurally, Amy decides that this is going to, so the outflow pipe has been funded, permitted, they're splashing in the water to dig it. What Amy does what next? Amy Lowell. She says to town meeting, this is the next thing I want to do. I don't know how this works enough to,
It would be part of the watershed plan
well,
that would be submitted to the state, which is going to be submitted in presumably approximately in January or February of next year. So within 6 or 7 months.
so that'll already have a
Already, but I don't know if it's a watershed plan for this area specifically.
No, it's-
They're going to do the easy
yeah,
ones.
Yeah, I know.
Easy.
And
And we have,
put
they're
that in
going to roll
quotes.
out over 5 years, right?
Right,
They're
and
gonna-
there's 13 more to go.
Well, no, they're going to combine them, so they're
Yeah,
going to
I
do
know,
about
but
3.
they're-
There are 3 plans going
What
on.
is the
Good.
latest time at which the last watershed management plan
A
will
long
be
time.
developed?
It's a long time. Oh, before it has to be or before it will?
Before
has
it
to
has to
be.
be submitted to DEP?
Before it has to be
It's
is
up to-
more than 10 years, I think. It's a long, long time.
Oh, it is? Okay. I thought we
no,
only
it's
had
within
5
5 years.
I thought we only had 5 years to get them all done.
Hold on, I think I might be
Because
able
that
to
could
have
be our
this.
answer here.
Oh, the watershed plan,
Oh, what,
For
a
this
watershed
area.
plan accepted by the DEP,
not even accepted, submitted.
submitted to the E DEP.
Identifies sewering in this area within, a-
Well, it's not going to
That's fine.
have a within,
mm,
I don't think. Watershed deadline is what we're looking for here.
So what we're tangling with, for everybody else, is the timeline at which, to make sure that if sewering is put off in this area,
Watershed permit timeline.
sort of the extreme would be in perpetuity, but if it's not going to happen within 20 years or 25 years, that an IA be put in some point in that, in order to capture, say, 15 or 20 years worth of nitrogen that would otherwise go into the water.
and we're seeking something that's
We're trying to find some way, some anchor for that timing.
There is a 7-year period, so by 2030, because this started in 2023, 7-year period to develop, submit, and be issued a watershed permit by the DEP.
So by 2030, so that's 4
Yes.
years from now.
And if that doesn't happen, then not just you, but everyone
Everybody
has to put in an IA
IA.
system.
Could I submit to the board that since there's so much uncertainty, you just set a time? You
Well,
say
that's what
3
I'm in
years,
favor is.
Say
That's
3
what,
years, and that can be appealed.
That's true.
Your decision,
Yeah.
you could say, right in the findings, I mean, in the conditions, that the owner shall have the right to come back and make the argument, and then there'll be a hearing for it. So if you just come up with a time which is acceptable to the applicant and to the majority of the board, then
3
just
years?
come up with a
3 years, 4
timeframe.
years?
And 3 years sounds like a pretty good timeframe,
It does.
because you'll know what's happening then. You'll know what
yeah,
there's.
we're going to know in
Yeah,
a year
we're
and a
gonna have
half.
handle on things.
Yeah, 3 years.
Or at the point of sale of property, whichever
Yes,
is sooner.
Right.
Yep, and then we have the findings. Okay.
And I
That
think
does
the
simplify
applicant would like to
things.
say something. I don't know if that's
Right.
in order. I'll leave
Do
that
you
to
have any comments on this? Yeah, you have to come up to the microphone and
I
identify
think she has a
yourself. I'm
comment,
sorry.
but I have a question, just a question.
Yes.
Since the watershed, Amanda,
Yeah.
since the watershed will be 4 years, can we do 5 years, since you'll be finding out about that? 5 years?
Well, you
would be
could
the
come
safe-
you would come back to us
Okay,
3 years.
within 3 years,
okay,
and, because we'll have more information.
okay.
We'll know whether or not the sewer is coming, 5 more years after that, or the sewer is not going to come for another 25 years.
Right. By the end of next year, we're going to be so much more informed than we are now. It's going to be orders of magnitude easier to sort all these things out.
Like, we don't, I mean, at the moment, we don't
I'll
even,
agree with half that statement.
we don't even know what, the DEP has not even commented back on any, there's been no feedback from the DEP on any of these plans, so.
Well, they haven't been submitted yet.
Well, no, but even on the questions about the plans that have been asked,
Right.
there's been zero feedback. It's to the extent that,
But that's not.
that's not this part of this, right?
Let's just-
So, anyway, and you had a question, sir.
If I could have that last part read back, so that I can,
We will read it back
Because I
once we
did-
figured it out,
'cause we were-
because
we
we
were
don't
talk-
know exactly what we're voting on yet.
because I think it changed. It was provided, unless the municipal outfall pipe is permitted and funded.
We're going to
Just
get rid
say,
of that completely.
We're just gonna, I think what we're gonna say is,
come back.
Yep,
That's a good idea.
it
Right.
is. It's a helpful
And
suggestion.
George's
Yeah.
had a lot of
Okay,
it.
so then it would say, we have a motion to approve the requested variances, provided that a nitrogen-reducing wastewater treatment technology selected from the Mass DEP banner list and capable of achieving a total nitrogen concentration of less than 10 milligrams per liter is installed within 3 years or at the point of sale of the property, whichever is sooner. Finding that, and then we have,
I think you could say the applicant, to give them the ability to come and appeal that back to the board
Right.
within your
Right.
decision, because as you know, all variances to appeals go to a court of jurisdiction, not to a
Okay.
board, unless they say you can go back to the board.
How would you phrase that?
findings then, right? So we'd have the findings and then
And
the
that would be in a
applicant.
condition.
Conditions.
Yeah,
With the,
it's not-
with the condition that the applicant is,
Applicant may
may come, appeal to this board
To revise
to
the
revise the
deadline.
deadline for this,
revise the deadline
for,
installation of
for the
the
installation of the IA.
Do we want any more on that sentence?
No, I don't think so.
Less is better,
Right.
Perfect.
because we
Less is
just
more, we
don't.
already have more.
And then there's the list of findings, the long list of findings that,
Yes.
that George already,
That we already have written
Yeah, with a
down.
slight tweak, and the only, like I said, the one I had added, which we can add or not add, is just acknowledging that our regulations don't require it, but that we are tasked with achieving an equivalent
Right.
standard of care.
Our regulations don't require it when there's, our regulations don't discuss it when there's a variance being asked for. So I think saying it doesn't, it's not required suggests
could
that
leave
it's.
that out.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
leave
So
it out.
we'll strike that part of
because
it.
it's-
Got
Up
it?
to you, but
Yeah, it suggests
Okay.
things we don't want to
Well,
suggest.
then things are even simpler. Got
Okay.
it.
So is it just now, all the precatory language, but then it says within 3 years of installation or sale, whichever is sooner,
No, not 3 years of installation, 3 years, period.
from
Or
from
sale.
Mr.
Or-
McGann's
from Mr.
letter?
McGann's approval.
Yeah.
Whichever is sooner.
And then the applicant may appeal to the board to revise the deadline for installation of the IA?
Yes.
And that's just
Within that,
within that 3?
within that period.
Yeah.
And you're not putting any standard on that, like, about to demonstrate likelihood of sewer install? It's just simply?
No, I think we'll just, because there'll be
too much
there'll be too much, there'll be a lot of new information.
Okay.
I think, and so rather than hang it off of any particular action or inaction by town meeting, it's just, we'll have action or inaction by town meeting and by the select board between now and this time of next year. We just don't know exactly what it's going to be.
So in a way, it's kind of coming back to Mrs. Roth's point of revisiting it in 3 years
Yeah.
with information that we have.
Right.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
Yes.
Okay. A motion and a second to approve this and revisit it in 3 years, within 3 years, roughly speaking.
Sorry, what did you just say?
A motion and a second to approve.
What Amy has already
Amy's
said.
Right.
Yes, I've seconded that. Call the
Okay.
question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any, all opposed? George is opposed. George H. is opposed. All right.
Okay, and I can submit this,
So
Yeah.
we will have language, and then we'll be back and forth. I think our secretary has captured this, and the recording has captured this, and we'll,
but I can
Oh,
also,
God, the minutes.
no, I can send this.
I'm
Right,
not going to
and
be at
Amy
the
will send it.
meeting where we
Thing is, you
discuss these
broke a
minutes.
record for the longest.
Whatever
Hearing.
it is.
yes,
Yes.
by a long time.
So we're 2 down, 10 to go, so.
Right, I know. The next ones will be faster.
Thank you very much. I appreciate how the board struggled with that. I thank you very much for your time.
All right. Our next item is 21 Pheasant Lane. Approval request for new construction of Falmouth Nitrogen Area.
With an IA.
Right.
you get this set up here?
Oh, there it is. It went to sleep mode, I'll get it.
Oh, I gotta go back to my mess here.
Much colder.
Hold on, Mike.
It's cold in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freezing.
Did you adjust the,
I was gonna put the temperature down. You guys said you're
So
warm,
don't.
right?
I was
Let's get a
comfortable.
little warm.
Now I'm cold.
Get a little warm.
Wow, it even bumped out a word, huh?
Well,
I used to run meetings in hotels for 300 people, and we had an audience response system, and whenever I asked about the temperature, high, good, or low,
Yeah.
it was a third, a third, a third, no
Oh,
matter where
really?
the thermostat was.
Oh, my gosh.
You cannot win with
that, no,
temperature.
that's interesting.
It's freezing.
Yeah, I'm cold.
Is this
Okay, so
Brigatine?
21 Pheasant, this is
Oh,
21
wrong.
Pheasant.
Oh,
30
I have so
seconds.
many questions after that hearing that I'm not going to delay other people waiting any further.
Here you go.
I look over your shoulder because I don't have
Yeah,
this one
of course.
from 2 years, whenever we, unless we do,
It looks exactly
Sweet.
the same.
yes. Yes.
All right, 21 Pheasant Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. We are more than happy to and know we need to install an IA system.
More than
I'll
that,
do anything you want.
just so you don't have to go through that.
So moved.
So, this property at number 21 Pheasant Lane is an undeveloped lot. I represent the Falmouth Housing Trust, and they're proposing to build an affordable house on this lot. It's undeveloped, and we're proposing a new house, a three-bedroom house on the lot. And it's in a nitrogen-sensitive area. Your regulations require an IA when you build a new house in a nitrogen-sensitive area. So we're proposing a NitROE by KleanTu innovative alternative technology to reduce the nitrogen. That technology is on the list of best available technologies. There'll be a proposed 1,500-gallon tank, followed by a short section of pipe, then the NitROE tank, which will then flow by gravity to a D-box, and a typical soil absorption system. The geology here is well-known to be coarse sands and gravels. This is one of the last, if not the last, developed lot in this neighborhood.
Green Pond.
It's thickly vegetated. You will notice, and I'm going to say it before George says it, we did the test holes just off the road for the reason that we'd have to clear the lot basically more to get to the site of the leaching field. We're probably about 40 feet from where the leaching system's proposed, but this is well-known geology, coarse sand and gravel, and the test holes bear that out. So it's pretty straightforward. 500-gallon chambers, sized adequately for 3 bedrooms. I'm here to take questions.
Observation ports look good.
Yeah, I think you said within.
We would certainly be amenable to a condition that requires us to do a confirmatory test hole right on the spot where the SAS is proposed, once they start to clear the lot and start house construction.
Yeah, anyone?
Observation port within 3 inches of final grade.
Yeah, we show one of our covers within,
Oh, it's at 6.
It says 6, yeah.
you need it
6
to be
inches.
3.
Oh, it's just in the code.
I'm happy to revise
Oh,
it.
this one has the 3-inch to observation port. So we got
Okay.
it here.
All right, you got it.
Yeah, I typically have a note on there. It says one of them shall be within 3
Yeah,
inches.
okay, yeah.
Right?
Sorry, I didn't see it.
And the
Same as a sampling port?
Pardon?
Observation
It's
port?
an
No, observation port is for ponding.
Okay.
Sampling port on the NitROE, if it is a NitROE, is usually in the system itself.
So it's already,
Yeah.
so we don't have to add that we
Correct.
do.
Right.
Fine. move to approve this with the
Standard set of
requirement that when the lot is developed, that the perk tests get redone where it's the actual SAS is going to be.
That's part of the
And the
recommendation.
standard set of conditions.
For-
And the 10 milligrams per, isn't that in the standard set of?
It is, but I think we need to just make sure that it's
All right.
recorded.
Yeah,
So-
I'm just going to put 10 on the next three.
Second,
Okay, motion and a second to approve the use of the IA technology for 21 Pheasant Lane, provided that a test pit in the area of the SAS be performed when the
it's
land is cleared. With, and that there's observation points already in there.
Yep.
With the standard set of conditions for 10 milligrams per liter of nitrogen or less. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
20 Brigantine.
Same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. I represent the applicant, who is Falmouth Housing Trust. Again, this is one of the last remaining lots in this neighborhood, and Falmouth Housing Trust intends to develop it as an affordable house, having a three-bedroom capacity, two-bedroom capacity septic system in this case. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's a zone
Yeah,
2.
two-bedroom
Oh, it's in a zone 2.
on the plan.
Yes. So we've designed the system to have actually capacity for 3 bedrooms because Title V requires you to unless you deed restrict the property. So we just made the SAS slightly bigger. This is also proposed to be a NitROE IA septic system. 1,500-gallon tank, NitROE, pipe into a D-box to 500-gallon chambers. Again, you'll note, this is a fully wooded lot. We did the test holes close to the street, so we wouldn't have to clear and cut trees to get to the back of the lot. The geology is well-known. We're happy to accept the condition that we do a confirmatory perk test when the lot is cleared, but we have no doubt or have no reason to believe the soils will be different where the
Yes,
SAS is proposed.
I guess this is more of a question that I get often. George, you might know the answer. So since nitro's not general use approved, in a zone 2, this has got sufficient lot space for an IA to go to 3 bedrooms.
yeah.
However, nitro is not general use approved, so would an applicant in a scenario like this that wanted 3 bedrooms, put a nitro in to meet the 10, but not necessarily does that cost them in their ability to have the 3 bedrooms in the zone 2? Because it's not generally use approved.
Well, the regulation doesn't state there has to be a general use approved system in there. But it's only going to be approved for what it is approved at the state level as far as calculating whether it meets the requirements for zone 2.
Because I just got that question this morning
Yeah.
on a different job.
But since we're going over questions, you'll notice the last 2 that these are trenches, right? That's a little trench.
He's an engineer from the agency.
Did you notice that?
All right, let me ask the question, George.
Did
I'll
you
ask.
notice that the letter from the
So
lawyer
George's
was
argument last week, if
Title
there's space
V?
between the chambers, you can no longer call them a chamber system. You have to use a bottom area only system.
Well,
If you move those 2 chambers out 6 feet and put a pipe between them, would that be a trench or would it be a bed?
Neither.
I still think it's a bed.
Thank you.
Oh, so you don't get sidewalk?
No, not a bed,
It's a galley system.
galleys in trench configuration. It's still like,
And
So-
why
so
do you
that was an argument
why
for
do you
us.
butt them up at all? Why don't you separate them out when you put 3 or 4 of them?
Because he only needs 25 by 13.
well, it all depends on like the number of bedrooms. Like there's
That you
times where
need.
we take, there's times when we
Okay, you're not making my argument. Go
times
on.
when you take a 500-gallon
Oh, no.
chamber, put 2 feet of stone, another 500 or 2 feet, when you need like a certain length system and you don't want to spend the money on another chamber, But the bottom area and sidewall math will work in that case?
So can you do that with chambers, plastic chambers?
I don't use plastic chambers, so I
They have
wouldn't.
their own calculation sheet,
Yeah.
their own square foot, 4.72.
Yeah, I was
So far,
contending
George, you
last
went down
week that
12
when you
engineers to
move
none.
those things apart and you feed them separately, that's a bed.
He's looking at you skeptically.
We've approved a lot of them like that.
I know. Yeah, no saying
let's-
when you're doing something wrong, there's no time. but-
For the record, my standing is not editorial.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Again, there's an note on the plan about having one of the covers, be
Within 3
3 inch.
3
Yeah.
inches to grade
Yeah.
for purposes of
Don't go up,
observation.
you're up in the, what are you doing, Mike? You're going the wrong way.
I don't know.
You're going through the
Don't
long
go back
pond
to
document,
Yeah,
it's like 300
please don't
pages.
go back.
Where do I gotta go down here?
Please don't go back.
Well, this is the next one.
A motion to approve the use of the IA systems in this situation with the standard set of conditions.
Understanding that the test hole.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's the test pit, yeah.
A motion and a second to approve the use of the AI technology for Troy and Brigatine Drive, provided that a test pit be dug when available,
When the SAS.
when the SAS is installed. With the standard set of conditions at 10 milligrams per liter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 2 Sweet Road, which I don't have in front of me.
Again, for the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, I represent the applicant. This is a collaboration with BSS Design. We review and supervise the engineering aspects of their projects. And this project is proposing an accessory dwelling unit be installed on the lot. The lot contains 4 acres. A primary dwelling. The primary dwelling is located where I'm circling with my mouse, if this is zoomed in enough for you, closer to Sweet Road, and the accessory dwelling unit is proposed close to a road known as Stewart Lane and Ryder Road in that intersection. The accessory dwelling unit is proposing to have a separate septic system due to its remoteness from the house septic system. The system was designed as an accessory dwelling unit for 2-bedroom capacity. The system SAS is sized for a 2-bedroom. The existing house has 5 bedrooms. But it has a separate system. The regulations talk about and use a term called facility,
Yeah.
and this entire lot is considered the facility. This is in a nitrogen-sensitive area, and your regulations say if you increase flow, you need to do an IA septic system. In this case, we're increasing flow because we're building a new dwelling, and there's 2 bedrooms. There's no change in the number of bedrooms in the existing house, but since it's on the facility,
All right.
we're proposing to retrofit that system with a nitro, so that both systems now have IA treatment components to them. I have to say it again. The test hole was not done in the location of the SAS. I had no control over that. It was done at a time when the initial system was installed, and the test hole results indicate coarse sands. And we know from our knowledge that the geology is very consistent here. But that said, we are more than happy to accept a condition requiring us to do a test hole right in the location of the proposed SAS. And since it seems to be a reoccurring theme regarding the observation port, you will note on the profile, there's a note that to bring one of the covers within 3 inches of grade so that it can be utilized easily as an observation port. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
And the nitro folks don't have a problem with the 1,000-gallon septic tank for the 5-bedroom house?
Tom Bunker looked into that. I don't know the answer. I can ask. I don't know tonight.
What would, can you?
Yeah, because this, see how
The
this one is
5-bedroom
only
house has a 1,000-gallon
septic
tank.
tank,
Oh.
but the
Not
new
200.
septic tank for the 2-bedroom is a 15.
1,500
got
gallons.
it.
It's a minimum size, and then it's 200% of the daily flow, but it's a pre-existing 1,000 from pre-95.
I mean, my opinion is we're getting denitrification out of it without even increasing the number of bedrooms on it. And the other system's getting a 1,500-gallon tank and a nitro, so it's a win-win all around for,
It's definitely a win. I'm just asking whether the nitro folks, when you put one of these things in, say, yeah, wouldn't matter if it's 1,000-gallon or 1,500.
reason being, it might be like higher concentration coming out of the tank or something.
Less residents' time of wastewater, that's all.
I don't know, this is a new one on me, so we'd have to talk to the
Is it,
nitro.
do you think that could be in the provisional use specifications or not?
I would say, motion to approve, provided that they just check with folks who are vending the nitro system to make sure its performance will not be limited in any way by the maintaining the 1,000-gallon tank and the standard set of conditions.
Do you want to add a finding that this is an overall increase in denitrification for the system?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, the finding, I'm pleasantly finding that you're not arguing that.
But the facility
This
part,
point where,
the facility part,
yeah,
I don't know if there's a way around it. I mean, this is already vetted.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
Facilities are facility, they all need to be brought up.
I always enjoy arguing with
Plus-
you, but I don't think I'd win in this case.
Plus, just to let you know, in Acapesket, someone
Well, I
tried.
lost one, so you would have been mad to tell of a loss.
So on, you've already made that decision, you've already got precedence, because we talked about this. And on Acapesket, they wanted to put just the ADU on a
Yeah.
day-night, and the whole lot had to go on
And we
day-night.
made them do the
So
whole
that's
thing
part
because
of
it
it.
was a facility.
So that's a discussion whenever I see something like this we have.
Usually they're close to each other, and you just make a decision to put in a whole new
Right.
Yeah,
common
right.
system.
These are
Because
pretty
then you need a 2-compartment tank or 2 tanks in
That's right.
series.
Okay, is there a second on this?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the use of the IA technology for the ADU new construction for 2 Sweet Road, provided that, a test pit in the approximate area be,
SAS.
SAS be noted and reported,
And that the
They check with the vendor.
Oh, and then they check with the vendor for that, make sure a 1,000-gallon tank is okay for this
For the
particular
primary residence.
primary residence for the particular
For which we
technology.
also have to approve installation of the nitro.
Right.
Don't we do it as a whole
I think
facility?
we got them both at the same time.
Okay, it just, we specifically said nitro for the ADU.
Nitro, yes,
They're two separate
for
tanks.
both.
but provided that that the engineer or the applicant check with the,
Correct. Yeah, I just want to be
confirm
clear.
with the vendor that a 1,000-gallon tank
Will
upstream
not
is,
impair the function of the nitro system.
Right.
finding that this is an overall improvement despite the new construction. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to tight tank regulations.
Oh, yeah.
Super quick, I know it's.
Is this? Are you about to hand me this same
No,
document?
I just printed you out the regulations for your benefit.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know you had them, but
that's fine, it can't hurt.
Could I request that somebody who knows what this is all about, give a little background before we get too specific about, so I know what the hell we're talking about?
He's going to give us some quick background, and then we will give you some additional background as needed.
So it often comes, I often have clients that are in a situation where they know their system would fail, they're trying to be proactive. It's an old cesspool. They want to do the right thing. In this case, that I can't reveal, but in this case, the cesspool is very likely, it's certainly in the water table. And the land elevations are low in this neighborhood, and they hired me to design a new septic system upgrade, which I fully designed. And it includes a new 1,500-gallon tank, piping to a pump chamber, but leaving a space for a nitro or an IA component, as your regulation requires, and then pumping up to a field that'll have to be raised, and because of the limited land, it would have to be vaulted within a retaining wall. So all of that is extremely expensive. It's north of $100,000 without even an IA component, because the property would not be increasing bedrooms. So I'm asking for guidance because the provision, the first paragraph of the reg talks about tight tanks may be granted only to eliminate a failed on-site system, and this is the phrase that's got broad discretion unless you've made findings in the past, where no other feasible alternative to upgrade the system in accordance with provisions of Title V exists. And I'm going to stop there, but just how do you determine, if I came to you for a tight tank and I demonstrated I could put a septic system on the lot with a vaulted system, pump chambers, everything else, buoyancy to offset the fact that the tanks are going to be in the water table, and it's extremely expensive when it's much less expensive and the client would be willing to do a tight tank. You're not increasing bedrooms and it's effectively zero nitrogen loading.
15268
seasonal.
refers to a seasonal use facility. Is this?
Well, that's a good question, because I think, as you probably know, since COVID, a lot of these seasonal houses have sort of, people realize they want to be there, they wanted to be there more, and they realize they can be there more, they can work from there. And the house is probably not super energy efficient, but it is insulated and it's heated, but it's probably...
Well, it would be, if we were to approve that, it would be deed restricted to seasonal use.
6 months or less.
And it would be verified, for example, by water shutoff.
Yes, 6 months or less, right.
Yeah.
And then if such time comes where they want to occupy the property for more than 6 months, they'd have to go through it's now no longer seasonal.
It would become no longer seasonal, and the tight tank would have to be revisited.
Right.
So that's a pretty clear path forward.
Because this is really...
I mean, is that, George, is that, would that be?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you know,
I don't know how many months they occupy it, and I don't know why 6 months was picked for seasonal, because,
well, you know, it's,
I mean, you got, you know, May, June, July, August, September, October is 6 months. Maybe that was the thinking. I don't know, but, you know.
I mean, who knows? This
So
is,
you could approve it if it was deed restricted
this
as
is PDP.
seasonal.
Yeah. I mean,
and you have the plan for the whole thing anyhow.
yeah.
It's expensive, so how would you step that in? Would you put the tight tank in and, I mean, the
Well,
tight
we'd
tank
make-
minimum size is 5,000 gallons.
Well, no, I think it's 2,000.
Well,
It's 500% of the flow, or
Or no less
oh,
than
what do you
2,000.
have?
I think it's three
3 bedroom?
or 4 bedroom, I don't remember.
No,
The theory would be that we'd make the tight tank serve as possibly the septic tank.
Septic tank,
And then we'd put a, it might be an oversized septic tank, but
yeah.
so what?
right. I mean, in the grand, in realistically, in seasonal use, a tight tank is, especially if it's capturing everything, but even if it's only capturing black water, is still a very high percentage of nitrogen removal.
It is, yeah.
And,
Seems like a good.
So
I-
everything would be plumbed to this.
Oh, yeah.
Because as you may know, some of the board members may know, we do have black water tanks, they're called, in West Falmouth
yes, as experimental systems.
as experimental systems, where they're pretty much seasonal homes,
Yep.
and they pump them out, but they do have an overflow to a septic system.
And they have a separate gray water system.
Right, the gray water is basically goes out most of the time, unless they shut the alarm off, and then it would
Right. Well,
overflow that tank, so you'd have two tanks in parallel at that point.
do we have data for those?
Yeah, I think that the county has been maintaining them or monitoring them.
Right.
So, yeah,
Because it would be good to.
there are
that-
data.
It would be good to know how good those are functioning as, essentially as nitrogen, I won't call them reducing systems, nitrogen eliminating systems.
Yeah, they reduce it because gray water has nitrogen in it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, that's
But
what I mean. I
that's
just want to be.
not applicable to this, because this is all the water. You're
So I
just-
would
It's all the water.
Yeah.
But if we were to, I mean, if somebody were to say, oh, I want to separate I want to do a tight tank for the black water and a gray water, separate gray water
Yeah.
system, in other words, to require
Reduce pump out.
reduce pumping.
Yeah. So that's it. So it's a relevant question. It's a relevant thing to request, but not for this. We don't need it for this particular proposal.
So they know
There's no
how much it
particular
is to
proposal,
pump
this is a
out
discussion.
the system.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yes. For this discussion, we don't need that data.
Some conversations, but if you divide the cost of pumping that out over the cost of $120,000 to
you can pump a
$130,000
lot of
system,
time.
that's a lot of pumps.
Yeah.
And they're
It's
trying to
like
make a,
$5 a pump for a 2,000-gallon tank.
yeah, and they have to be cognizant, aware of water use and all that,
Sure.
and which is sort of an inconvenience, but when you look at how much, in the total disruption of the property
Yeah,
is amazing.
I'd be inclined if it was seasonal too.
Yeah?
with a
Yeah.
tight tank.
No, I mean, honestly, I'd be comfortable with that, too.
Okay, so I just I didn't want to come with the tight tank and have you say, well, you didn't demonstrate it's not feasible, but my client needs to know it's going to be, if it's approved, it's going to be with a
For a
condition.
seasonal.
It would be, it would be a deed-restricted
Yeah,
seasonal.
sure.
Right,
Understood.
because that's what Title V says.
And if they wanted to go to the next step and renovate the house and not make it seasonal,
They'd
they'd have to come back and get approvals for all the other,
the variance is required for all that other stuff that.
yeah, because we're tucking this thing in the corner, we'd need property line variances and things like that.
Right.
So it's pretty complicated.
I mean, and the other thing is to also think about the watershed plans with the possibility of sewer coming anyway, so,
I don't think this is ever going to be sued.
okay. I'm just,
Try not to give you any more hints about where it is.
We'll find out eventually.
yep.
225.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, we have a waiver form discussion.
Is this the plastic? Is that where we are?
Yes.
I'd like to move to postpone's the wrong word. Continue this.
Continue it,
Because
yeah.
I would like to talk to some people again in Scott's office before
Sure.
we discuss this.
That's fine. Do you want to continue it?
To 2 weeks would would be,
Yeah,
A3.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be here 8:03, but that's fine.
okay.
Just maybe the meeting will move faster without me. Okay. Okay, motion and a second? Was there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to continue the discussion on the waiver form until, for 2 weeks, 8/3. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have the IA system monitoring performance data. Do we have anything to talk about there?
Nothing new there, please keep it on the agenda, and
Okay.
I'm still waiting for any comments somebody might have.
Oh, yes, didn't I,
yes.
did I email those to you?
I didn't see anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I edited it down to a single sheet of paper.
Single sheet?
Well, two pages.
Okay.
All right, I'll take another look.
I bet you it doesn't have the cartoons on it.
No, it still has some cartoons.
Yeah,
I
we
made
need
some
cartoons.
edits
I would go with
also.
Bliss cartoons, if Henry Bliss. Harry Bliss.
I swear I emailed that to you, George.
I must check my email on it.
Come up.
All right, I'll email, mine are in pencil and hard to read, so I will email.
I still have
Deadline.
2 of the cartoons in there.
Two cartoons.
And it's down to 2 sheets of paper.
Okay.
Yeah, no fun.
Can I make a comment so that others can comment on it to give George some guidance? I thought really early in its contract. And it's a complicated system, but you don't need to fully understand it. You just need to hire the right people to fully understand it. I think it was just too soft for too long. And then when you say quaternary ammonium compounds, people are going to glaze over and say, oh man, I'm not reading anymore and I'm already forgetting what I read. You just should put in a couple of household names for whatever quaternary ammonium compounds are, and, you know.
Helpful, but, I thought, I will send it to, I guess I can send my suggested edits to.
You had somebody you said might be, have a grant, did you say something?
Yeah, I have, it's part of our C grant to essentially do these, talk about, work on some of these communications, so.
As far as the soft part, it was meant to be the introduction to the 350 people we have out there, some of which really care, but the majority of which have no idea what that thing
Right.
in their backyard is.
Gentleman who was here a couple of meetings ago, who was completely clueless, and so I'm not saying I'm not suggesting it was too soft. I'm just suggesting it's not friendly versus soft or any of that. It's that right up at the front. This is really important, and there's some actual work you have to do here, and money you have to pay, and I would just get that in early.
Okay, so read those 2 sentences that start line.
How do you make the font bigger
Oh,
on
right,
an
I'll make-
IBM machine?
I'll just make
Can't
the
you
whole.
get a Mac, for God's sakes?
Sometimes our employers set these things.
I know.
Can we also
Yep.
be mindful of time and figure out which other
Yes.
things we need to do?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
Send me your stuff.
I'll send stuff.
Okay.
You can send it to
I
me
think,
too, can't you?
I think I can send it to, since we're discussing it in public.
Yeah, you can send
Yes,
it to
I can
everybody.
send it to everybody.
Send it out, just don't talk amongst each other.
Right, I'll send this out.
Good, good.
These are comments.
So then I'll
yeah.
make edits to this.
Okay, good. So,
Good.
we have the discussion on the current well regulation, the application process.
I just,
Change it to 10.
that's what I did.
So moved.
Change to 10.
You ready for that to go to a hearing?
Oh, we need a hearing?
Yeah, we do, because it's a change of the regulation.
It's a regulation change, so I'll post a public hearing for like the 17th or something like that?
That's fine.
Is that okay with you? Did you want to
The
add
only thing we were going to do.
PFAS or anything else? Because you talked about that last time.
I know, that's what I was just looking for, is does this,
It does say we can ask for additional testing,
Right.
so I don't know if that covers what you're looking for, Amy.
And this does bleed into the next agenda
Right.
item.
That's why I put them together.
Right.
Killer.
irrigation wells? Right, and is there any testing for the irrigation well?
So at a meeting you weren't at,
Yeah,
I believe, there was a discussion of how important is it if PFAS compounds are in irrigation wells and getting redistributed on the lawn
right.
and aerosolized, is that, and.
We didn't have our
said-
resident
And we said,
expert.
we have to ask Amy.
Well, I mean, it's a complicated question, definitely. Aerosolized, not so much, but certainly you are redistributing to soil where it will absorb and hang out for a good long time. Yeah, so I guess, asking about this quickly, do we want to require any testing before irrigation wells are put into effect? Do we want to add PFAS to drinking water wells? Do we have a lot of drinking water well requests?
You still have to.
200 to 300. 200 probably.
Requests for new
Drinking water.
Requests for new drinking water wells?
2 or 300?
Total in town.
Existing.
Okay.
Sorry.
200 to 300 existing drinking water wells.
We really have that many?
Yeah, because we have a couple streets that don't have
So if we
town
test
water.
for
You add up
PFAS.
all the houses on the street, you might get 50 or 60.
Carrot
homes.
Shop Road.
If we
Curry
test
Road.
for
Curry Road.
PFAS and say you can't
50
have it
houses
if you
there.
want a drinking water well,
got a
are we
little-
just
I
going to
made up a little
deny
map
them
one
all? I
time.
mean, is there any point in testing?
Just, they would know that they have a contaminant they have to treat, just like, same reason you
But
test for other
is there-
things, like coliform.
Well, you
Can they, but is it feasible for a regular drinking to
Yes.
to actually treat?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay.
with an
Oh,
in-house carbon
okay.
system.
And in fact, along Courier Road, because the base contaminated their drinking water wells,
They all probably have
they
a point of entry
installed
treatment
treatment systems
Shoot,
at
yeah.
cost to the
taxpayer.
base.
Right.
Yes.
It's relevant just because we have known PFAS plumes in
Yes.
town. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
uncommon for towns with that
Right.
condition to request
So charcoal
PFAS
does it?
testing. Yes,
Oh, okay.
granular activated carbon.
You can, look, you don't need to rush. If you want to have another meeting, Amy, to really look at that, you can have a future discussion on another agenda. We don't have to rush into the well change.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're going to put out to public hearing, I just think we should decide whether that should be
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
change.
Okay.
So we can continue that, that's fine.
Okay.
We've
Do you want to, I mean, I'm going to actually be on vacation the first week of August.
I move that we
but-
continue it for 2 meetings. then.
Yeah, till you're back.
So
Okay.
you're back.
Sure.
I mean, I will rely on,
19th, I'm gone.
was that?
17th will
I'm
be,
gone 8 to the 19th.
yeah, the next meeting will be 2 weeks, it'll be 17th. Amy Lowell's going to present wastewater plans and watershed plans, so is that a good date for everybody on the 17th?
Of August?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's
I
gone.
will be gone from the
All right, so what date do you want?
8th to the 19th.
Oh, I thought you said, I think you said
We can't meet on
18th
the
and
8th
19th,
then.
sorry.
Oh,
Was that?
We can't meet on the 8th if both of you are gone. There's just 2 of us.
Meeting on the 3rd.
Oh, 3rd, okay.
The
Sorry.
3rd.
Sorry about
If
And
that.
the next one would have been the 17th, which
Okay,
we could
yeah.
have, except I would like, you guys probably all want to be together with Amy Lowell.
Right.
So I can ask Amy about the next meeting after the 8th, so the
Okay.
17th. Because she's got a lot of
She's got a lot of things to do.
things to talk about too with you guys.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, God, where are we? August, so 17th.
So we're going to meet the 3rd,
Then you're gonna have, well, you're gonna have Labor Day, so.
August
We
3rd.
could meet on the 31st.
Friday?
That's a Monday, August 31st.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I might not,
Wow, where'd summer go?
Oh, I know. Don't even start me on that.
When is our next meeting?
Third.
Our next meeting is scheduled for the 3rd. I will not be here, but that does not preclude you from discussing this. And I don't mind, because I will happily just read and agree with whatever Amy suggests in terms of PFAS.
Okay.
I defer to
And
expertise.
I certainly will too, so we just,
It's just that if we were to have Amy, it would be good to have all of us. So if we can reschedule Amy for the 31st,
Yeah,
I'm asking her right now.
see,
Okay.
and then the well regulations, I mean, the only thing that setting it to 10 feet would help help us, so we don't see so many of them, but it is
Yes.
something to think about in terms of, are we spreading PFAS everywhere?
right.
Which is relevant to the next agenda item.
Right, which we also can't do justice to tonight, I don't think, because I really want to talk about that.
You also have a deadline on that, just FYI, for a response.
I thought they did move it again?
I don't know.
Oh,
I just
what is it?
remembered we.
No,
I
it's
thought we
already
missed
passed.
it.
What are we talking
It's already passed.
Yeah, I thought we missed it.
Okay, so what we were talking about, we kind of bled into the next agenda item, which is the Joint Pays Cape Cod's draft
Oh.
explanation of significant differences for per
Yeah.
and
Oh, you didn't vote
polyfluoro.
on your continuance, sorry.
So we did continue it because part of it is the information that they have in that. It's relevant to the use of irrigation wells in the affected area, which is essentially all of East Falmouth, east of Mill Pond, and north to Ashumet and Johns. Given, I don't, some of the challenge with these maps, for example, there's a very large area that is noted as exceeding the maximum contaminant level. I don't know the depth of those plumes.
They do have a cross-section in there. I
Oh,
did not
okay.
print that for myself, but there is a
No, that's true, there are
cross-section.
cross-sections. So,
Yeah.
irrigation, we probably don't have great records on irrigation well depth. They're
Jen-
probably as shallow as possible.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
There is a land use control requirements section of this. It might actually be, I think it's an addendum or an attachment. And it's clear in that the Air Force is, they need to look at all the wells in their contaminated area within the footprint of the Ashumet Valley plume, and assess those and whether they pose risk. And they talk about wells, not drinking water, and.
so they have to assess it relative to even irrigation, using them for irrigation.
I believe that they do, yes. And so I was gonna suggest, again, we can't really do this justice tonight, but I think we should follow up with them and see where they are in that process. This land use control requirements document, which they call the LUC, L-U-C.
Okay, yep.
They give themselves 7 years, as already completed for the area of the Ashumet Valley plume, and to be conducted within 7 years of the signing of this ESD2 for the area of the FTA1 plume. The Air Force has or will document all private wells that are above or within the projected path of the plume. So they need to document them. They need to demonstrate and document that the private well is not capable of drawing contaminated groundwater originating from either of those plumes, or test the well for the COCs and demonstrate that it's safe for human use. So again, they're not saying human consumption, they're saying human use, which might read, that would include irrigation wells. So I think we should ask where they are in that process, and see what information they might already have.
With the lack of any information, would it be prudent not to allow irrigation wells in those areas?
Potentially, especially if they're talking about having 7 years from now. to
Yeah,
do
what
this
what page are you
So,
on?
like I said, I think this is an attachment. I printed it for myself.
Well, but in terms, so
Yeah, let me go to the
2.2.4.1 land use controls, specifies, they talk a lot about drinking water. But in our well regulations, which I don't have right here, in our well regulations, I think we do have information on the, we have something about land use controls.
So this is, it's page 86 of the PDF, it's Appendix B of the document. And they're using it's from the original ROD record of decision, and then they've got changes in gray. So
6, okay.
if they're 7 years, started at the record of decision in 2009, they did a lot of well assessment between 2009 and 2015. 2016. So I just kind of want to get it, but they weren't specifically, I think they were looking at other contaminants, not necessarily PFAS at that time.
Right.
But they would at least have a list of all the wells within the plumes. And should be able to give us some sense of,
Would they have to analyze all of the wells, you think?
they have to either demonstrate, I mean, per this document, they have to either demonstrate that it has no ability to pull in contamination, which they would do by determining what the water-bearing zone was
Yeah.
relative to the depth of plume. With PFAS, it's very difficult to find
It's all over.
water-bearing zones that are
Right.
free and clear. So they would have to either do that or test it for the COCs, which would be PFAS. And then once they determine whether this, if they determine COCs are present there, then they have to offer decommissioning of the well and take other actions. So they are on this, we just have to understand if they're on this over the course of 7 years, which is a long time, or if this process is really already underway. And they're well by well identifying problem areas.
In the event the town of Falmouth fails to promptly enforce the first LUC,
Yeah, there's stuff for Falmouth in here
the
too.
Air Force will act in accordance with the third paragraph, section 4, to promptly enforce.
Where are you reading that?
I'm reading this on page 80.
Of the LUC, what page is it? Is it?
It's page 3 of the appendix, but it's page 88 of the overall document.
Yeah, because it also says in here on page 4 of this appendix that they are supposed to meet with us on an annual basis, which to my
They
knowledge,
haven't
they
been,
have not
right.
done.
I did email him last week or so.
Okay.
Maybe Doug's retired, I don't know.
Yeah, so there's a lot here, so I would like to have time to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
To continue.
Second.
T3.
But Judd, you won't be here. either.
Motion and second to continue to a date.
And right now, we've got scheduled
Well-
3/17 and 31, is that correct?
We have 8/3, well, and we will be short of people on, we will be,
3 and 17 will be short. One
Yeah.
member.
So, yes.
right, we won't be a full, well, we won't be a full board, we won't be a board as composed right now until the 31st.
Is there any news, by the way, on any new member?
I have not, I have asked, and Diane has said that if she gets an application, she will let me know, but there has not been any, nobody's applied for it.
Same, I think, with the fairness.
And they see this on TV and they're not just clamoring
Right?
to come here?
Riveted and excited to join.
My goodness.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to wrap your head around. But I do think this bears a closer read, because I found this late today while prepping
Right.
this LUC. I think I'm happy to reach out on our behalf to see if I can find a point person and kind of where they are in this process.
Yeah, I mean,
Used to be Doug Carson.
it used to be Doug Karsten, I don't know if
I don't know.
he's
I did-
retired.
I did
but you-
email to reach out to him, and he didn't
You
get
could
back.
go through the website
Yeah.
for this. Our well regulations, I thought our well regulations mentioned the Air Force.
It should have mentioned the plume somewhere.
Yes.
There is also the no fishing prohibition here.
Right, well, you're not,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to fish, you're not supposed to eat fish from a shrimp anyway. But that's also, but that's been the standing for Mercury.
Yeah.
They've just added things.
In areas of suspected contamination such as exist, initial testing of irrigation wells for contaminants shall be required prior to use.
Aha.
Shall not exceed the maximum contaminant level set forth in 22s to 3
Well,
times
then,
CMR 22.
that's pretty straightforward. People should not be using their irrigation wells then if they've got more than 20 PPT of PFAS 6. PP.
If they're in the area of suspected contamination.
Yeah, if they're in that, the plume map. So we could develop a letter to send to folks with
Yes.
wells in that
Does
area.
it make sense to limit it to those areas if the same levels can be used in other places?
What do you mean?
Well, the reason that you don't want to, and this is a tricky thing we'd have to think about if we require sampling of new wells. If they exceed the MMCL, the max contaminant level of 20 mics per liter, or nanograms per liter, they have to report it to the EP. So having someone test within a known area of contamination, you've already got a responsible party there. So you're identifying that you're contaminated, but you don't bear that responsibility as a
Right.
private property owner. If you're just testing and you hit for it, things get murkier. DEP is doing a pretty good job of not pinning things to homeowners for PFAS because
I
it's
see.
fairly apparent in most cases that it's not.
So if you need the charcoal, the Air Force has to pay for it?
If you're in their plume, yes, and it's associated,
I
and the PFAS
see.
is
Okay.
associated with their release,
Got
then
it.
yes, they
Got
are
it.
the responsible
Now,
party
okay.
who has to mitigate.
Shockingly, it's about money. Okay.
Well,
Got it.
I mean,
responsibility.
it's responsibility. I mean,
Yeah,
and
no,
there-
I'm not saying it's a
yeah, yeah.
bad idea. That
Yeah.
was just-
I mean, and the Air Force has not been, once contamination of a drinking water well has been identified, they have not been stingy about providing whole house filtration.
Right, yeah, that's their
I mean,
obligation.
Now I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's their obligation. But so that's the tricky part about just requiring private well owners too. 'cause
Yeah,
But
I mean,
from
get
a
real
health point of
confused.
view, if we
I know.
think it's bad, then.
right, well, so remember, we have to just separate two things. There's one is drinking water,
Yes,
Yes.
and one is irrigation.
Yeah.
and one is
Okay,
irrigation.
fair
So
enough.
for drinking
Yeah.
water, it's very, very clear that we should be requiring them if they're in the plume area.
Well, the Air
to-
Force should have already tested.
The Air Force should have already tested them.
Yes, for-
Assuming that they got to them all.
Yeah.
And they should be connecting them to, or providing them drinking water in some way, safe drinking water.
Yes,
I
that's
don't
what
know the status of that, and that's a good
Right,
question.
that's
I
what
mean, about several years ago, I think Doug asked me for all the records I had for wells, which
Right.
are what they are.
Right,
The older they are, the worse they are for records.
right.
And I did provide it to him, so I think
Okay.
they've already done this process, but this has been some years ago.
Yeah, the map is, they have a lot of wells on this map, and I don't know that they are all irrigation
I
wells.
think they're monitoring wells.
I mean, monitoring wells. I don't know. I mean, some of them are addresses. Anyway, in any case, the question is with their irrigation, which is a little bit trickier, but should we be requiring everybody, just basically send a letter, anybody out for any of the irrigation wells that we have records for, to say, you're in this plume, you may not use your well unless you test it and submit to us.
That's where I just don't want to get crossways with what Air Force is already doing. If Air Force is already going out and testing those irrigation wells, and then we're requiring a homeowner to also test their well,
Right, okay.
that's,
My-
yeah, I
My
just,
guess is my guess is they're doing drinking water wells.
I think they're just going to be doing drinking water, because what they refer to earlier in this document is drinking water specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the LUC pulls in irrigation, I think.
Okay.
So I just want.
If the Air Force tests, do they always tell the owner the answer?
Yes, they're required to.
Okay.
So it's just, yeah, these topics sort of dovetail and I think need a little more attention, and I'm happy to write to Doug
Okay, or whoever.
or whoever the
Right.
new Doug is and try to understand it so that we can work
Okay.
in concert rather than crossways.
Yeah, that would be good, but it is a fairly sizable area, and,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, the solution would be just have everybody turn off their irrigation well.
Yep, that definitely is a possible solution, yes, and it's
Well,
not that difficult.
we're in a level 2 drought, they shouldn't be using
Right, they
irrigation
shouldn't be
wells
using that
anyway.
Anyway, so.
However.
Well, except that's not required. We've been on the wells are allowed to be used. We've been, remember I sent you the regulation a few
Yeah.
weeks ago?
Yeah, they're exempt from a level 2.
Yeah, they're exempt.
I think.
Oh, they are?
Irrigation wells are exempt.
Well, the town, let's parse
In the
this out.
town.
The water superintendent and the water department can't enforce your use of a private well. They don't regulate private wells. You would have to say,
It says it,
Board.
the private drinking water wells and irrigation wells shall be subject to water use restrictions to the same
Yes.
degree and extent that any such
You're
water
reading
use
this.
restrictions are placed upon the users of the
look
town
through the-
public water supply by the Commonwealth of
are you reading
Massachusetts.
that in what?
That is in our well
Oh,
regulations.
right, so the responsibility is us on a level, for them not to use it, not the water department. That's all I was trying to say.
No, it's actually, it is by the permit of having an irrigation well.
Yeah, I
Then it
understand.
is our permit, which is based, and the regulation, whether or not they can use it, is based on what the state determines.
Yes.
So if the state in,
No, I was just saying that the water, how it's usually parsed out is not through the, never mind.
yeah, the water department is not actually party to this
Right,
particular.
we would
one.
have to go out to the site to shut them off, to have them shut off. Right. As opposed to the water department.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it is 8:30.
yep.
Definitely need to go home. What is I also did not receive the 7:13 minutes, maybe that was on purpose,
Because
just-
they were, I anticipated they'd be finished, that's why. So
Yeah.
they weren't actually
Okay.
finished, that's, which is
Okay.
fine.
So what is our
And we just-
obligation to approve the 6:22
You
minutes?
have
There's-
a motion in a second, but you didn't all vote to continue the,
Continue which?
The
The
discussion
joint-
of the PFAS.
Well,
joint base
regulations.
technically the last two agenda items.
Right. Part of it is that we weren't sure when we were continuing to. So when do you want to continue the well, discussion of the well regulations too?
Let's continue it to the next meeting and just
Next
keep it
meeting,
on the
okay,
agenda.
so motion and a second to continue the well regulation discussion to the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
And motion, and is there a motion to
I
continue
hereby
the?
move to continue the discussion of JBCC's
Okay,
draft explanation to the next meeting.
Second,
motion and a second to continue.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Okay. Let's table the minute, can we take, can we? Yes, we
May
can. Motion,
To continue the consideration of the June 22nd minutes
yes, the 22 and 7:13 minutes.
and 7:13, which we don't
Whatever, we
even
don't
have to
have, done
look
with
at.
that.
We don't have to.
Yep,
Whatever, until the next,
business is yours.
thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Jed, can you just submit your edits to those minutes? Because you won't be here for
Yes.
the next meeting. Can you submit those
Yes,
directly?
I will send them to, yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.